All right, let's get started. This is the April 22nd, 26th meeting of the Upton Conservation Commission. It's 7 p.m. so we can start the meeting. I'll let everyone know, Chris Scott, chair, is on phone, but I'll be leading the meeting tonight as vice chair. Okay, so the first agenda item is the NOI for Zero Mechanic Street Senior Housing Community. There's 8 duplexes with riverfront area.
This up. Thank you. Good evening, Jim Bernardino, Turning Point Engineering. Travis Brown is fortunate taking a well-deserved vacation, so I'm filling in for him. I worked with him very closely on this project as a professional engineer, reviewing the plan, so I'm very familiar with the project that's being proposed. Just give you a quick update as to where things left off since the last meeting. We responded to the DEP's comments that they initially have. So we have a formal written response that we provided. I can go through that if need be, but it was pretty straightforward on a handful of items. They were somewhat overlapping with some of the peer reviewing consultants' comments as well, as far as the pond and the bank and things of that nature that I'll touch base with you in a few moments. So that was happening. As part of that response, we've also included an updated alternatives analysis for the work within the riverfront area. So they gave a variations of different contemplated layouts and things of that nature that was incorporated into the alternatives analysis. And we believe the final version that's been presented and just submitted to you maybe a week or a week and a half ago or so, we find it's the best alternative that we're coming up with for the project. One of the items that we were working with the town's consulting engineer was the delineation of the resource area on the southern part, the limitations of where the pond would be located, as where as the perennial stream would be located. The result, consultant went out there, we took a look, and ultimately we came to a resolution that the mean high water line number 25, I believe, flagging, was the area where the perennial stream ended. So what we've done was we've made the modification to the riverfront area buffer zone, as well as the overall area percentages that we're allowed to alter. That line is the blue line, it's the 100-foot. And that's the 200-foot riparian zone, the outer riparian. We also went out and took a look at locating some of the mean flood elevations for the AE zone versus just the A zone, which extends a little further up. So we went out and did a visual observation of the observed maximum flood over history out there. Pretty much along the northern parts of the project follows the BVW line. It's a very abrupt change in slope, so flood elevations are pretty well defined in that area. Down here, we found that it came out a little bit beyond what was delineated as an elevation. So the AE zone, I believe I didn't have the exact, note the exact elevation, but this was a defined elevation. But as we went uphill, they ranged about 1 foot to 2 feet higher of the mean elevation. So everything kind of was in harmony with each other with our findings out in the field and location. So those modifications are incorporated into the revised plan. We've also established the limits of the pond. We hung flags on the eastern side of the pond in coordination with your consulting engineer as well, which is the local bylaw. So we are showing a 200-foot buffer to that local zone here, tying into what we use the riverfront zone to the perennial stream. And there's the 100-foot buffer as well. We do have modified area calculations. We're under the 10%. A modified area for the riverfront is just over 200,000, just shy of 201. The total alteration is 20,081. Well, that's the available alteration. That's exactly 10%. But what's being proposed is 28,000 square feet, which is over that 10%, but that does include the riverfront area that is housing stormwater components in it. We do have a stormwater components we modified. I'll touch base on what changed on that real quickly in a few moments. But we excluded the proposed stormwater from that area. By doing that, that's the DEP requirement, and we are approximately 6.6% alteration from that riverfront area within the guidelines of the DEP stormwater policy or the Riverfront Protection Act rather. The buffer zone from the local jurisdictional pond 1 to 2, we quantified approximately just under 15,000 square feet of alteration in that area. So we just quantified that. As you can see that this is the 100, and then all of that buffer alterations between the 1 and 200 foot zone in this area down here. We also provided a updated stormwater report that's going to support the changes I'm going to explain in a moment, as well as a long-term operation and maintenance plan to reflect the stormwater modifications and infrastructure that we're proposing for the property. Now, what we did was, as a result of some of the comments and feedback, so we got the significant changes that we did to address those modifications. We tightened up a roadway radius a little bit, got a little tighter in the backs of these units, but we still need to provide for a septic. We're able to pool all these units in. The green area is the extra buffer zone that we're able to pull everything away from the riverfront area. We removed a basin in this area completely. So what we did was we just enhanced the swale and infiltration trench that was there previously proposed. We just enhanced that slightly, but we're able to convey and swale stormwater to the other components of the site where we actually collect and dissipate all the stormwater back into the ground, virtually everything. So with that, those are really the major changes to the plan, and we're moving forward. We did receive some comments from the planning board's peer reviewer, which were easily addressable. So I don't have any belief that the revised plans that were just submitted recently under review, that there'll be any type of modifications necessary to address any follow-up comments that the reviewers may have, particularly when it relates to working the buffer zone with the commission, because obviously the majority of the work is outside of the buffer zones. Other than that, I'll turn it over to the commission. I know you have a full agenda, so. Mary, questions or comments?
Great. We do have Art Allen here too, if people have questions for him. And the DEP sent a note today, just mentioning that we can ask for a wildlife habitat study because it's in unaltered riverfront area. That's something that the board could do. And I just had a question that the page which you have the green. So this is like, so the original plan would have been in that green area.
So what I did, the proposed plan that's here just recently, I took the limit of work line that was previously proposed on the first revision. I just highlighted the area between it. So that's a relatively significant area. It was almost a third of an acre of additional green space and buffer that we're able to provide along the riverfront corridor. We did also receive feedback from the DEP, reminding you of your rights to request a wildlife study. Just as a professional feedback on that, I do understand the rights and the feedback for that. However, we are at the outskirts of the riverfront. The main corridor is being undeveloped. I think along the primary functionality for wildlife along the corridor, we can't be much more away from that within the riverfront. So I would think any type of findings, whether it's a minor study or a very in-depth study, would find that the overall impact would not greatly impact the functionality of the riverfront to support the wildlife that's currently there. That's just our feedback. Obviously, it's up to the commission to make that final determination.
So do you have that plan that you're showing there? That's not something you submitted to us. This is something that you drew up.
Yeah, this was something that this plan right here this is just highlighted. The only thing difference is that one extra line. And if you like, I can leave this behind, or you can scan it and send it to you. What would be a preference?
Yes, thank you.
I'll scan it and send it to you tomorrow. But that was just for, for explanation as to visually seeing what was changed.
Oh, we have from the audience. Are you ready for that, Mike?
Let's see if the commission has any questions
Yes.
first. I have a couple, but others, anyone want to go first?
Just a quick question on the second plan, so
Yeah.
were any of those the housing units, were they moved any higher? Or is they still where they were? Did anything change with them? Yeah.
It's slightly, yeah, everything got pulled in a little bit. What we did was to also address a planning board comment. A minimum radius around this corner was required. So what we did was give a little bit bigger radius, which pulled in everything on the outside in that amount. And we tightened up the back as much as give them a minimum backyard where we could still allow the ability to collect. So they did move slightly.
Anyone online, Marcelo or Art? Yes.
Ready for me?
Just- Chris, I think asked if the project is in the ACEC, and the answer to that is yes. And Chris is the commissioner on, correct. Okay, I have just a couple questions, or maybe not so much wetland related, but when you were for the planning board, was there any discussion about having a public parking space somewhere?
I was not involved with the in the planning board process, so I was not I was involved, but I did not attend the hearings.
I don't think it was brought up.
Is it something that should be brought up?
Well, can I interject, I guess, I mean, I was looking for a trail connection between Mechanic Street over to Dixie Park. I did mention it in the preliminary planning board discussion. And also I was suggesting one or two parking spots as well. The and that connection goes up north. Dixie Park is abutting it. There's a canal that runs through. I think the canal was probably, which is this, I think. I think that was built in the late 1800s to service one of the, I think, a box mill. And so I think just the historic aspect is, would be interesting as well. But I think you might need a little bridge across the canal to connect to Dixie Park. I'm not sure.
And I think at one of the meetings, bridge was mentioned. And I think, I think the applicant's representatives, I don't know if they committed to it, but they meant that they could possibly help out with that.
My understanding was he didn't find it to be that big of a deal.
Yeah, I walked most all the way up there and it's not too wide. It's definitely bridgeable. But you need bridging.
So as I mentioned, I wasn't part of the conversation with Travis and or whether the applicant was at the planning board meeting. I think the applicant may have been there. I don't think Travis would have said, "Oh, no big deal."
No, he
They would have came from the cap.
He didn't say that. That was
Just
basically
what your thoughts were.
right.
Okay,
That was-
well, understood. I didn't mean to take out of context.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I don't have the firsthand knowledge. But that is something that we could definitely discuss and I'll bring up to to Travis as well as Eastland. The umbrella of the property owners as well.
Parking, trail, and what kind of potential pedestrian bridge. Then the other kind of open space related question is this is being built under the senior housing.
That's correct.
So it's going to have to be a conservation restriction on the open space that is left here. And I don't know who's going to own the open space, if it's going to be, the homeowners association, town, whoever, but it's one, you need a CR. And at some point, boundary of the open space is gonna have to be delineated with bounds. So I suggest you show the bounds.
Now, when you need, what type of bounds would you?
Concrete.
Just concrete bounds.
Concrete 4x4.
4x4. Okay. Some have special plaques you wanna see or something like that, but I think a concrete bound is gonna be better than any plaque knocked over. Last one I went by was
Yeah.
tied to a fence post and it just went down. Tied to it.
But just so you heads up on that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
And the CR can come, I'm sure the planning board's gonna have that requirement for the bylaw.
Yeah, the plans do show out the limits and locations of the proposed conservation or open space areas. And I don't think it's out of the ordinary to have that request, that be bounded and described.
We have three or four other types of developments in town. Plans for conservation restrictions or actual conservation restrictions.
Where were you thinking about location for the parking lot? Did you have any?
I was thinking could sit somewhere close to Mechanics.
I think right where the entrance to that detention basin off your driveway. Off the driveway at the top.
Off the driveway to the
Yeah, it
top.
seemed like,
This could be done, because right now, this is a relatively flat area. Gravel area could be provided. Down off Mechanic Street, but I don't want to promote anybody backing onto the street.
No,
That's not,
We don't-
we understand the complexities of that. But that could be a potential opportunity to show something there. Right there's a sidewalk there as well, so if they have to traverse. To the site to gain access to a path wherever it ultimately lands, there's an ability there.
Yeah, so this is not a public road, it's a private road. So you need an easement over the road, to whatever trail, and an easement on the trail, so.
Yes. Assuming it never becomes a public road.
It'll never-
It will never be. It won't be a public road. So then we wouldn't need basically permission for the public to park on the parking area and to access the trails and use it.
Where do you think the trail would go?
And what the property.
There's different locations that they could be zigzag to the site. It's a really nice site. There's a couple trails that are blocked here already that have been established on the property. Or even sneaking down here. This will be flattened out, get to the back.
We want to get to Pixie Park.
Yeah, which is
the main goal, which is to the north.
to the north, which is down here. And there's a pretty well established path through here,
along
not along the river. So I think even if you come across the basin and fish something into here, it's a nice loop. Or even a little footpath. Down through here, it'd be more of a footpath. Because we have a 3-to-1 grade that we're trying to make up, so there'll be a section where you're stepping steep going down hills, but I think something can be workable. I'll review that with the property owner and the applicant and see what they can come up with, and probably be prepared to discuss that with the planning board as well. It sounds like it's a planning board item as well because of their open space requirement.
Yeah, they had agreed to put some sort of what's called by the mailbox. As their basically amenity for outdoor activity.
Yeah.
Or gazebo.
Gazebo, whatever.
Yeah.
Out by the mailbox.
Isn't there's a mailbox?
I don't think they've, no, down over here, yes, we've done that, yep, right over here.
Right.
As an amenity as well, and truthfully, this is gonna be a nice little field over here. On a flat area. Which could put tables or something like that, but again. In the retirement community, we don't have to worry about swing sets and soccer balls, so.
Pickleball.
Pickleball, yeah, it'll be pickleball, I don't know how many people wanna hear that all day,
Yes,
Yeah.
anything else from people? Let's go for Art first. Art, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. Good evening, Art Allen from Ecotech, wetland scientist, peer review consultant for the commission. Yeah, I reviewed all the project documents, including the first round and the most recent revisions. I also walked the entire site on March 25th of this year. I produced my preliminary memo dated March 26th, and that resulted in the revisions to the mean annual high water line of the perennial stream, as well as a delineation of the pond bank, so that they could show your bylaw 200-foot pond offset, which they've shown now. So that all looked good. The existing conditions I was in agreement with. And then I provided my most recent review memo dated April 21st and submitted that to the commission. I was in agreement with all of their responses to DEP except for their alternatives analysis. I thought they didn't reference the specific requirements of 310 CMR 10.58, the riverfront regulations relative to the alternatives. They really need to beef that up with specific references to the regulatory requirements, including providing the lot creation date and project purpose relative to the regulations, just so that they've touched on all the specific alternative requirements. I mean, I know they've tightened up the project quite a bit. They may have done, about as much as is reasonable, but I think they really need to get a little more specific with that alternatives analysis. Again, I'm in agreement with all the existing conditions and the revised delineations. Then my only other outstanding comment was that they also didn't address the no adverse impact standards, although they've kept everything out of the inner riparian zone, the 0 to 100 foot off the river, off the perennial stream. They are pushing up into that 10% plus or minus with stormwater, and they need to be a little more specific to tabulate out those impacts to show that they comply with the no adverse impact requirements in the riverfront regulations. Once they do that, they should also revise the notice of intent form to reflect those revisions, both in the total riverfront area and the proposed alterations. So yeah, this is all documented in my written comments, and I think that's been passed on to the applicant and representatives. So that was about it from my perspective. Relative to DEP's comment about the habitat evaluation, yeah, technically, when you trigger that 5,000 square foot threshold of riverfront, the commission could require them to perform a habitat evaluation. I don't believe, having walked the site, I don't believe they're going to show any significant habitat on this site. It's all pretty common, upland, oak, pine, overstory forest, second growth. I don't think they're going to show anything significant in terms of habitat features, but again, you're within your rights to request that habitat evaluation if you choose to do so. But so that's about it for me, and I'd be glad if you have any specific questions for me. I'm available. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Would you care to respond to Art? Can you yes, basically in terms of updating the NOI and
Updating the NOI and everything of that nature is straightforward and reasonable. I don't think there's any issues there. Adding more verbiage to the alternatives analysis and the like, we can certainly create and beef up the alternatives analysis. So, obviously there won't be any changes to the design plans or things of that nature, but that'll be documented as to those various items and specific references that are mentioned that we should be referencing. I don't think any issue doing that, just the project purpose, the lot creation, things of that nature. As mentioned, yeah, I don't think there's anything of major consequence. table of impacts on first. Yeah, I think everything's reasonable. I didn't get a copy of Art Allen's memo, the board that was sent a couple days ago. The gentleman Travis that's kind of reading it. I probably wasn't just copied on the CC on it. But regardless, not an issue. I wouldn't have responded to it before tonight anyway. So I think in response to that, they sound like they're straightforward. I think the applicant would have could take the opportunity before next meeting to address those comments formally, to beef up those sections and update the forms as requested. So
Right.
I don't see anything. And the only thing that I would maybe ask the commission would to maybe make a determination as to the wildlife study if that's something that you feel is warranted. We would want to get started on that sooner than later, but as Art said, I don't think there's going to be anything of significance coming out of that. But I'll defer to the commission to make that.
Let's thank you. Let's make sure we hear everyone else's comments, and then if after that we can have a discussion about that wildlife. Okay. So Tom,
Tom Dodd, 32 Mechanic Street. Just a few things. I brought up a couple things at planning board. It'd be nice to have dark sky compliant, all external lighting. I don't know if this board could recommend that. No Camelons would be nice, and if those could be within the HOA agreement. And I think the other thing is just if they can, I don't know if they're putting any trees along the driveway coming in or whatever, if those could be native trees. Or native plantings. And just a comment, I guess, on the habitat. We live across the street from the driveway. Our driveway is going to be directly across from the proposed driveway. And my wife feeds a lot of turkeys, and I'm just curious if the turkeys roost over there somewhere. I don't know if anybody, and Mary, if you come across them at all when you were.
I do not see the.
Okay. I don't know where they're going.
They disperse.
Yeah,
There's up in trees.
right.
It's like we entered roost for them. I have a question. I'm Kathy Dodd, 33 Mechanic, and a couple of things. I wanted to make sure that you could save as much of the trees that are there along the roadway and like just as much as possible, like it's.
Yep, we are trying, so we are, maintaining a buffer along the front. There's gonna be some large substantial trees that will probably take time and effort to mark those out in the field, maintaining those. And some are being cleared out, so we have some visible line of sights to make that corridor much safer from a sight distance standpoint. But the intent is to maintain this area through here with existing vegetation. So that there is, rather than an artificial planting, there'll be existing trees that are 24-inch in diameter and some of the larger ones.
And then the other thing is, I don't really care about the parking spots, people, but if you have to have the parking spots, if it could be in the place that's already kind of cleared, because I know that they've been digging around already and knocking trees over. So if you could put it in a spot where the trees aren't already.
Yeah, what we would do is we would pick a spot, as they mentioned, coming up in the front that we're already cleared out. We're already leveling it as part of the normal construction. So I don't foresee that the request for the additional parking space would require more alteration. It's a matter of just, you know what, we'll maybe move the driveway to the other side and it'll give me more. It's a matter of staying within the confinements of what's being proposed to be altered. I think that's very reasonable to incorporate a couple of parking spots.
And then one other thing, I had a question, it was more for our neighbor who had the detention pond basin on the corner of his property.
Right there.
Does that mean that with the redesign that you did and moving everything in, does that go away completely?
That one does not go away.
Okay,
So I'll show you right here if you want to say report back. But the one that's right on the corner of the property, right here,
Yeah,
remains. There used to be another one right here.
okay.
That one's gone. Show you that real quick.
Did the one at the north get bigger because of that, or?
And that went a little bit here. This one stayed about the same size. We were restricted with groundwater. This one didn't change too much. This one altered the size, got a little bit bigger, but not much. More due to groundwater because we didn't have the vertical depth, so we got a little bit bigger. We need to maintain separation with groundwater. So, in evaluating that, plus incorporating, before we just had a very shallow, infiltration trench. So we have, now we have a shallow infiltration trench, but the revised detail also has some additional stone with voids underneath it that, amplifies the infiltration capacity there. So that in conjunction, this in conjunction with, a little bit changes here and here, we're able to eliminate that extra basin.
Somebody
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
Matt, why we,
Yes. Yes, hello. I'm Matt Wybe at 14 Meadow Drive. Kind of right at the end of Meadow, off Mechanic there, but I participated in the planning board meeting a little over a week ago, and I had a couple questions. The first is why are we discussing setbacks if the project yet hasn't been approved? That's the first one. Maybe we can take that one first, and I got, one more after this, and then a request for the Conservation Committee.
Everybody understand?
yeah,
which setbacks are you talking about, Matt?
Well, there was mention of setbacks along the creek. I think it was 100 feet that was being discussed, but I'm curious what we're talking about with setbacks, though, when the project yet hasn't been approved.
Right, so the setbacks pertain to the Wetlands Protection Act and the town bylaw, and they legally have to be so far away from the river, and it affects how the project is designed. They've had to pull it back a little bit more because of just the way the wetland was delineated, that was changed, so they've had to make the project a little bit smaller. So that's the answer there, and that's why it's important that we have to figure the setbacks out and agree on them before the project can be approved.
Okay. Yeah, just a couple comments just from the planning board meeting. There are a number of residents here off Mechanic Street, off Meadow, off Fowler, that have expressed severe safety concerns around where the road is located. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but I walk and run it past it every day along with others. There will be injuries. There's great concern about that road placement and where people are coming up around the bend, especially in a over 55 community. But I know that's not part of this group here, and that's something that the planning board needs to consider. But we also talked about the planning board around some conservation topics. One was like this site sits higher than surrounding homes. Many residents experience like water in their basement. There's going to be additional runoffs from this development that create like a real risk of worsening those conditions. There are also concerns about like maybe chemicals being used on the site, and runoff could carry those into neighboring properties. So this directly impacts like homes and health. We would just ask the Conservation Commission to get a detailed independent review of the stormwater drainage and runoff aspects related to the environmental impacts. And then also, as somebody else noted here as well too, like trees have already been cleared. They're removing natural buffers that provided like privacy, noise reduction, and water absorption. Without them, there are more exposed in drainage patterns that can change, right? This also impacts wildlife and increases the visibility of lighting activity from the site. So these are really lasting changes for the town of Upton, especially in the West Upton area, which is primarily rural, narrow roads, got a lot of farms on here as well too. They asked for the Conservation Commission is like, hey, we would just ask the Conservation Commission to require some preservation and restoration of the natural buffers and fully evaluate the environmental impacts before moving forward with the approval of this decision. So those are the only couple things that I wanted to add. And, thank you for listening. Thank you for volunteering, on this board. And I know these are really important decisions to make for the town.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if I may just address it briefly, it's mentioning of the safety and the traffic, obviously, that is a concern of everybody in the community, but that is a planning board matter, and that will be discussed in detail with them. So rather than diving into, responding to that, it will be responded to appropriately with the planning board. Regarding the stormwater, impacts to groundwater, neighboring properties and the like. Stormwater standards have been developed to take these things specifically into consideration. A third-party review has been performed on this in regards to compliance with the stormwater policy.
Has that review been provided to the commission?
It should have been provided to the commission. If it has not been provided to the commission, we can certainly provide that with the written responses as well. Now, obviously, if you guys are very familiar with the stormwater policy is, so I won't get into great detail, but we provide a collection, conveyance, treatment system that collects and discharges the majority of the existing water right back into the site. Great soils on site, they're mapped A, so you virtually get zero flow coming off the property, and you will have exactly virtually zero coming off in the post-development effect as well. Third-party reviewers taking a look at that. Chemicals being spread, distributed through that. There's all types of regulations with the stormwater policy, illicit discharges that are prohibited. So there will be nothing that's prohibited that will be used on the site. It'll be typical normal fertilizer, things of that nature that will be utilized from a residential use standpoint. Also regarding preservation of open space, preservation of buffers and environmental impacts. That was a big component of the planning board process as well. Provide minimum open space. We're providing minimum open space to meet all the requirements, to meet that intent and purpose to preserve buffers and existing vegetation on the property. So we're looking at doing that and being in compliance with that. Also the environmental impacts associated with that. There's a community development impact statement that was prepared as part of the planning board, and that was submitted as well. We can provide that to the commission as well for their record. But all these comments as well are being looked at and considered as part of that third-party review with the planning board. So with that, those are great comments and everything that we've been looking at as a project and of notable concern. So we've been focusing on that since the onset of the project. So and lastly, just to respond to site being cleared. The site's not being cleared. Yes, we've knocked down a fair amount of trees to gain access to the site to do soil testing for stormwater, septic systems and the like. So we do need a comprehensive evaluation of the stormwater. Unfortunately, digging holes 20 feet, 15 to 20 feet deep to get the appropriate profiles, we need to get in with a relatively decent sized machine to make those types of excavations. We need to have appropriate safety, turning and moving, knocking down loose limbs and things of that nature. So even though it does seem destructive, the intent is to move forward with this project. And all of those alterations that have happened are within the limits of the development area, except for maybe the detention basin back here. Knocked down a couple of trees back here to do a test. But obviously, the trees will be cleaned up during the process, and ultimately, any understory will just be allowed to take back to natural in due course of time. So any of those areas that have to be disturbed, they'll be allowed to go back to natural conditions.
Question. The community impact study that was provided to the planning board, was that a formal and discrete community impact studies, or was that wrapped into the application? Because I don't remember, I'm on the planning board.
You're on the planning board.
And I don't remember ever receiving a community impact.
I think it was recently done over the last week and a half or 2 weeks. So you're right, that was new, and I think it was part of the comments of your third party review. So we actually had some verbiage on the community impact statement with the original, with the original application, but they've asked us to beef it up, so we kind of took the blurbs that we did and
And
formalized
they're
it.
separate
Yeah,
documents.
and it's formalized now, so we'll take a look at that. No, you didn't miss anything, but
I
just,
couldn't.
that's okay. Yes,
So, obviously your stormwater review was to the state stormwater standards.
yes,
Did you look at our Upton
Yes.
stormwater bylaw?
yes.
And the wetland bylaw, because the wetland bylaw, it talks about climate resiliency. So, you might want to look at that. One question I had, is trying to find exactly what, 100-year storm event did
I
we?
believe we used Cornell, which was in the 8.3 range or something to that range. And I don't have the direct stormwater report, but it's up in the
It's
eights.
Cornell.
It's close. It's not NOAA's, it's definitely not TP 40.
And I believe I understood from the planner that the peer review hired by the planning board just look at the standard stormwater from the state, and they did not evaluate it against the town.
And we will take a look and
And I think. the
address that
planning board-
specifically.
And I think Mike Antonellis had said to me, the Conservation Commission may wanna hire a peer review for the stormwater on in terms of the Upton bylaw.
Several years ago, we updated our regs to include, basically climate change resiliency.
We'll take a look at that and address that specifically. Travis goes back, we'll take a look. I'm sure we have a lot of the stuff already prepared. The real resiliency, we'll have to take a look at a little bit more. Hopefully you're not like Massport. Their resiliency is crazy. The whole building could be under a flood, but the transformer had to have a 10-foot wall around it. We could take out the whole building, but the 10-foot wall around the transformer got saved. But no, we'll definitely take a look at the local bylaws. And the stormwater bylaws as well, just to make sure both of those are up to snuff.
So Mary, did the commission request independent review?
The stormwater,
Would you feel comfortable with that?
yeah, I think that might be appropriate here, since, let me just verify that Stantec, I believe it's Stantec.
It was Stantec.
Did not look at the local stormwater bylaw when they did their, I think it's because I believe our local bylaw, I don't understand it fully, is stricter than
It should
the
be,
state.
yeah, that was the intent. So I'll make a motion that if planning board's consultant Stantec did not consider the Upton wetland bylaw and its regulations in their stormwater review, that the commission refer the applicant to hire another third-party reviewer.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion for anybody?
I might recommend you go through Stantec, or you approach Stantec where they already have the majority of the documentation. They could just revise their scope to include the local requirements.
Yeah, thank you, Art. And just another thought in general, as I looked at the revised plans, if you do the calculations, they're still altering 14% of the riverfront area because they're allowed to do the stormwater in it. And I don't know that the commission has to approve this, this is the maximum that they're allowed. They're taking pretty much the maximum that they're allowed to take. And I think we can ask for an alternative that it, alters less, let's find that one that maybe alters only 5% total or 7% total. Because they're at 14% with everything, which is a lot, in the riverfront area, considering we are in an ACEC. So that's just a comment that I had. It was good to see that they did pull it back some. I appreciated that green plan. But it's not a huge change really. So it's, I don't, but that's my comment, the board has to think about.
Right, well, let's first vote on the motion. Roll call vote, Mike, aye.
Ellen,
Ellen,
Shannon, I.
And Marcella,
she seems to have stepped away.
that's the majority of the commission. Right, any discussion about Mary's point about, the extent of the impact to the riverfront zone being 14%.
It's worth having them take a look at it, see if they can draw a plan that, reduces it and goes to 7, 8, 9, whatever. Just to see if there's any opportunities there. I know it's tight there.
Well, I just want to discuss with, stop playing with numbers. We're looking at the alteration, yes, the total alteration is that number. There is the allowance to exclude the stormwater, which they were accounting for as well, which puts the theoretical calculation at 6.6%, I believe it was. So, technically, we are in compliance. We had alternate, that had more. We've moved basins out of it. So I think the applicant is, showing good faith with doing what could be practical without, grossly impacting the resource areas. So I just like to have the commission take that into consideration.
Kathy Dodd again. There was at the planning board meeting, they mentioned the fire department saying it was okay to reduce the width of the road if the units were as sprinklers. Is that something that you could maybe consider? I don't know if the expense would be.
The applicant not considering that, the reduction in the road width, I believe, they'll be seeking a waiver for that at 24, I think. Well, regardless whether they're seeking a waiver or not, the width is 24, which is appropriate for two-way traffic in this type of community. I don't think the reduction in pavement widths is going to result in any, anything significant change to the drainage system or things of that nature.
Any other comments? So, another main question is whether or not the commission wants to see a habitat plan, habitat.
Honestly,
Wildlife habitat. Any comments on that?
Doesn't really seem like it's going to amount to much except for excess spending on something, so I'd rather than try to tweak up the plan versus the wildlife.
With you there, Alan? Any other comments?
Is the purpose of this just for us to get a sense of what the inventory is, or what else? How would we benefit from having a study done?
Well, if the plan showed a significant impact, it could potentially be a reason for denial, I would think. But we've heard from Art that it's not likely to show a significant impact.
Right.
Getting power on there?
I tend to agree with Alan that we're gonna have them sharpen their pencils. Let's try reducing on the riverfront. So, Chris, can you repeat that? Chris just asked if, one possibility is to reduce the number of units to reduce the impact of the riverfront zone.
I don't see that happen without a gross reduction in units. I don't see reduction of 2 units or even 4 units that would provide a great benefit. If you take out 2, you're still constructing out that way. And with with the allowance, I don't think the applicant's gonna be open to a reduction. We'll definitely sharpen our pencils, see what we could do for buildings, maybe we could shave 5 feet off the buildings, we do some floor plans. Well, I'll ask the applicant to get creative, but I think you'd rather get creative than lose lots. Or lose units.
All right, so I haven't heard any motion for wildlife habitat plan. So I don't think we're gonna be requiring that. Going once, going twice on that. Chris just made a motion that we require. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion on this?
I'm just
Alright.
not sure we're going to learn anything that would, if we do go ahead with it, I'd want to have a sense that that there's good cause for going forward with it. At this point, I'm not seeing that.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call vote on the motion to require, wildlife habitat. Mike, no.
Tom, no.
Alan, no.
Marcel, no?
Shannon, no.
And Chris
Chris.
Chris was a yes, okay, the motion did not pass. Thank you. So record. Okay, got a lot. Boy, you're lucky. I like this.
My next note said continue to.
Yeah, that's what we're up to. Continuing, when would you like to begin?
When's your next
Meeting's May 3rd.
May 13th.
Yeah. We meet on this.
Okay, we'll give, we can give you. No, we can't give you 7, we can give you, 8, maybe, right here, you say?
7:45. I think.
7:40. There's something at 7:40.
Yeah, it's just a COC though. I think.
Okay. 7:40.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you very much.
Anyways, thank you.
It's quieter room.
I don't want any more words.
Larry, will you? Stand up and see,
Yes.
say, give us a quote for.
No.
And the next.
Good to see you, folks.
Yes, thank you.
Art, thank you very much.
Thank you, Art.
Pleasure.
Next agenda item,
Happy.
10 Dogwood, we could push that to the end because I don't think the applicants can go in, so we can get to our one here.
Oh, wow, 152, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so, we have 720 N01 East Street, A&R Lot 1, site work associated with a single family home. Continued from April 8th.
And I believe it's Adam Hunt, right, is on for this. Sure if he has anyone else. And so he's just jumping on board.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Adam Hunt with Garrier and Hellman on behalf of the applicant. The project is a vacant parcel on the west side of East Street. The project is for the construction of a single-family house, driveway, septic system. Is there a way I can share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Apologize, I'm not seeing any buttons. Oh, here we go. Oh. I had it and then it just
Are you able to share? He's having trouble with his perception. Adam, if you need me to, I can pull up the plans.
Is he muted?
No, he's not. Adam, are you still there?
Want to come back?
That might be a good idea. Great.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Adam, if you can hear us, stick around, but we're gonna move on to the next hearing, so
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll come back.
we'll come back to you, we'll try to come back to you. All right, 7:30 is NOI for Quantas Beach sand replacement. It's continued from April 8th.
Principal reason we continued it is the DEP hadn't issued a number yet. They've done it. They had two comments. One is they couldn't tell from the NOI whether or not we were going to stockpile the old sand or not. We're going to put it directly from the beach into trucks that'll take it to the DPW garage area. The other question is whether or not we had any maintenance associated with the beach. And I'm not sure that we really do as such, other than to peer over it. But if you guys feel we need an operations and maintenance plan, I'm happy to produce something. I mean, it'll be occasional visual inspection and responses to whatever was visually seen.
Which I assume you do anyways, that's
Right.
part of it.
Yeah, no, but if
They
you,
rate the beach for.
would that be considered maintenance in the context of this?
Yeah,
Well, I can find out.
Yeah.
You know what? I will find out exactly what we do at the beach. I'll write it up and I'll let you know. But I don't want that to,
great.
we're ready to get moving.
I think.
But I promise we'll get you something.
Trust you, both.
Okay, so any other comments from anybody on the beach?
I request that we close the hearing.
Can't have a motion, no, to close. Do we have the number, right? We have-
Yes, we can issue an order.
So we're all
Conditions
set.
too. Yeah.
So have a motion to close this hearing?
So move. Second.
Okay, it's been, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, Mike, aye.
All right.
Alan, I.
Shannon, I. Marcella, I.
Okay, that's unanimous decision to close the hearing, and we'll have a order of conditions for you.
I think we need to motion to issue the order of conditions as well,
Right, well,
so we can.
we can do that later.
Oh,
We can
the
do
other
that.
meeting.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
Okay. So have a motion to issue an order of conditions for this project.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Are there any special conditions anybody feels they need? For this?
That's it.
Hearing none, roll call vote, Mike, aye.
All right.
Alan, I.
Said aye.
Shannon, I. Marcella, I.
It's unanimous vote. Okay. Let's close that. Thank you, Bill. And we'll get you order of conditions as soon as possible. So.
Go back to Adam.
Actually, Adam. Can we find Adam?
All right, Adam. Adam, are you able to share your screen now?
He's up there.
I know.
I can't hear anything though.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
His face is there.
It's sort of it's a little pixelated though. It's off.
He's gone.
Yeah.
It's having connectivity.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to an RDA for 75 Elm Street. Fill in backyard. removal of 20 white pines continued from April 8th.
You're great.
Yes, Mary.
Yes, Patrick's here. You guys will remember this project's been going on for quite a while, and it just recommended that we approve the part that the board was ready to approve, and then when you figure out the other portion, that you can apply again under a different RDA. And let me just pull this up so we can remember what it was. So I think the part the board was ready to approve was the removal of trees. And this is the parcel in question, and the pine trees were these trees along here. Is that correct, Patrick? If we're looking from above, it was along this.
The trees in the bank,
Yeah,
up against the water.
so it was at least 20. It was a lot of trees.
Yeah, it's like closer to 50.
Okay, it's a
50,
lot of trees.
50 pines.
50 pines.
50 pine. Yeah.
What was the purpose of removing them? What was the purpose of?
Safety. I have 2 little kids. There have already been several branches that have fallen down while they're playing back there. Upkeep. I mean, the end of a winter season, I'm out there for 8 weekends in a row. I could be spending time with little kids. So don't want to have. I would prefer not to have this. Go back in my yard, tick infested. I prefer not to spray pesticides in that area. So it's a combination of safety, upkeep.
But what did you like?
The pines, just as you can see, pictures, it's produce a lot of work. It's kind of the halfway point between a forest and a backyard, and I think we just, that middle ground is tough to deal with, and it's so accessible for kids.
Great, so I had written down 20. I don't remember what we put on the application. It's just long. Down 20 or so pine trees. Yeah, so you think it's more than 20?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. So somewhere between 20 and 50.
Yeah, I mean, the reason for the delay is, as you can see, with the volume that high, it gets pretty pricey, and so.
Yeah.
The contractor that I was working with, I think there's issues. Whatever. So there's some delays there, so I had to go and mark up the trees, so it's closer to 30, and it's all pines for the most part.
So they're all marked at this point.
I've marked them in my own way.
Can you speak up a little bit?
I've marked them in my own way.
Okay. All right, so. I think for the trees, we conceptually kind of approved it with it being around 20. How does that, if they're marked, like, I don't know, if they're spray painted or flagging tape, like beforehand, maybe I should go out there and look and see if there's any that we would want that are like too close to the wetland or whatever. I mean, I know a lot of them are pretty close, because they're along the bank. Yeah.
I think we had agreed that those wetland would uproot the roots.
Right, yeah. What's that?
That would keep the roots there for stability of the bank.
Now, just that, normally when we approve tree removal, there's usually a hazard associated with a structure. Pine trees leaning towards a house. I don't know, I mean, I grew up playing in the woods and I never got hit by a branch.
Yeah, but because you never got hit by a branch, I don't want to take that risk with my 3 of them. I think Mary should take a look, maybe come back with an assessment, but you know, we have trails all throughout Upton and if you're after a storm, you see trees down on the trail and you just step over them. I don't think trees all of a sudden on a beautiful day come down and land on your head. So, yeah, I'd like to get Mary's assessment of really, I'm okay with taking you know, some trees that maybe look like hazards that are close to the property, you know, the structure, but just to clear things doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's not the trees, it's the branches. Large branches continually fall down. It's the upkeep. It's,
They're self-pruning.
Yeah, I mean, that's nature.
That's, I'm with that, I mean, when we're looking at it, we're talking about 20 trees. Now we're talking about 50 trees, maybe. I would like, if it's okay, I would like Mary to look at that if they're marked. And just, you know, let us know what you see, because I understand hazard trees and stuff like that, but I raised 4 kids too, and they were always in the woods. I didn't see the woods as being a danger zone for children. That's my opinion.
yeah, and we don't either. I mean, that's why we moved here and that's why we bought a property to 2 1/3 acre. And we love nature and we embrace nature. It's just, there's a difference between, and I think I prefaced this already, there's a difference between backyard and the woods. That area right there is sort of in between and it's on my backyard. And we love hiking. Look at my beautiful lumberjack shirt here. Okay. I'm all about it. That's why we're here. That has a lot of upkeep for my kids to go there and play. I spent 6 weekends cleaning pine needles, etc., cleaning branches that are this length of this table that have fallen down. And I just like to clear out that area for safety so that I have peace of mind, so that my kids are playing in this wonderful property that we just invested in this town that we invested in, so that we can stay here for a long period of time. And we have miles and miles of woods right behind our backyard with trails that we enjoy doing. But that's part of my backyard. It's not the, you know, that's my backyard.
This is Chris, I have a question. If you remove trees as a plan, continue, that's it.
And
Did you hear that? The question was, if they're removed, do you have a maintenance plan? Because vegetation is gonna grow back.
Yeah, I mean, if they're removed, the amount of pine needles, and Mary, when you come over, maybe for the 3rd time, I can show you the new pine needle stack. But there's tons of vegetation that'll grow, but just the sheer volume of the pine needles in this sort of in between area between backyard and forest is tremendous. And I think initially we had conceptually approved that we take down the pines and Mary would keep anything hardwood or anything that was fine in terms of growing, like new trees, we'd keep them, but it's just these massive trees, and you can see by the branches, self-pruning to your point, yeah, self-pruning for me to pick up. They all fall down, these massive gargantuous trees, and it's a tremendous amount of upkeep. I'd like to clear that out a little bit, make it a little safer, so I can have back some time for my family.
When you said pine needles, do you break up the pine needles?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
It's just, it gets really voluminous, and I'd like to have some grass, you know.
So you're gonna convert it to lawn?
I would like to. It would be nice for my kids to play. I mean, my kids don't necessarily, you know, they come in, they have a bunch of pine needles on them and ticks and stuff like that. It's just a lot of work.
Well, then we're talking about converting
Yeah.
a wetland buffer from
To a
green habitat
Yeah.
to lawn. That's a whole nother,
That's a whole.
Well,
another problem.
if the pine needles are gone, right, then there's no more pine needle problem. So whether the grass will grow naturally or whatever, I just don't have the energy to continue to go there every year and pick up a huge volume of pine needles. And you guys have yards too. You guys raking every winter, I'm assuming you want. Right now, add a ton of pine needles to that on 2.3 acres.
Well, I mean, I rake leaves, but I don't go in the woods and rake leaves in the woods. I
Just the
just,
same
the
thing. I've got
woods are the woods, and, you know, the grass, is the grass.
But I have a beautiful, you know, I don't know about you, but I have we invested in this home. I have a beautiful pond, I have another beautiful waterfront. That's an island that's not necessarily something that we can enjoy just because of all the vegetation that's growing back there. And I'd like to, I'm not saying we're gonna go and put a bunch of grass back there. I just want upkeep and I want it to be clean and I want it to be safe so we can enjoy what we purchased.
Would you consider trimming the vulnerable branches rather than cutting the trees down?
I mean, I would, it would just be incredibly risque going up 50 feet to cut a bunch of branches on.
Well, if
Tree.
you're hiring people to cut the trees, they can do that. You know, that's a less,
I guess that doesn't solve the pine needle problem. And it's just a lot of money just to not really solve.
Just some tips on how to make a case. If you make a case on safety, it's one thing. If you're making a case to, I want to lessen my yard work, I'm not sure you're gonna get a lot of sympathy. So just my opinion on things, I'm just telling you how it reflects, you know, how I'm thinking about it. So if you have, when you're out there with Mary, if you're going to show a case for safety, fine. If you say you don't want to rake leaves, or you want to convert a resource area to grass, you're not gonna get a lot of sympathy from me.
Yeah, and I don't need
Just
your
being
sympathy.
honest.
I appreciate that. What's your name?
Alan.
Alan, I appreciate that, Don. I think for me, it's all of the above. And for me, you know, indirectly, as I said, spending 6 weekends over there, not being able to go to Kiwanis Beach with my family because I'm busy trying to keep this thing clean, I think indirectly that does affect my family in one way. And
Again, it's your choice to rake pine needles. So no one is forcing you. It's not a safety issue to rake pine needles.
no, it's not a
I'm
safety
just trying to help
issue.
you. If you want to make a case when you're out there with the area, it's gotta be a pretty compelling case. And the fact that you don't want to rake pine needles is not gonna get a lot of sympathy from me and maybe some other members of the commission. Just giving you some,
I appreciate
I
that.
can't say it's giving you advice. I'm just giving you my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to be relatable to everybody else who has a yard, right? And a yard has tremendous responsibility and upkeep, especially with 2.3 acres. And I would like to have a yard that I know I have peace of mind, so the safety issue is the priority. There is a large number of very tall trees, and there's a lot of massive branches that fall down, and one have come close to making kids. There's also a lot of bugs and ticks. My kids are 2 and 3 years old, so they're prime targets for that. And then there's the upkeep issue, which prevents me from spending the time that I wanted to with my family. But yeah, thank you for your insight.
Okay, so Mary will take another look up there.
Yeah, it sounds like we're not quite ready to.
And I
close it.
think we're ready. Yeah.
All right, so
I guess,
once you have the trees like marked with paint or something that I can recognize.
And then we have to come back here.
Sorry.
It's okay.
and I would just say if, you know, take our comments to heart and as you look at those trees, you know, are there some that maybe are worth shipping others that could go and others that could be saved? Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, you know, the first time we did this conceptually, we spent probably about 2 or 3 minutes on the trees and everybody was yay. And it was more about deciding whether or not that wetland could be filled. Now it seems like there's new challenges that are posed the first time. I'm happy to jump through hoops. I'm doing this the right way.
Well, we went from 20 to 50.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's,
And you went from converting natural
Right.
landscape to lawns. You're changing, you're moving the goalposts, so.
So thank you, Alan. So maybe you're right. Maybe I won't convert it to lawn and let's just focus back on the trees. And then Mary, when you come, we'll try to get better determination on that final number. And then we can go from there.
Yeah.
So I'd like to motion to continue this RDA hearing to May 7th.
When do you want to?
That'd be all right.
May good.
Is it always Wednesdays?
Yeah.
Those Wednesdays, yeah.
Is it always Wednesdays? Okay, and I can tune in on Zoom.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely can.
May 13th,
That's
yeah.
2 weeks.
The next
yeah,
would be the
May
27th.
13th, yeah. Let's do that.
May 13th, yeah. Want to say 8 o'clock hearings?
Sure.
So, motion to continue the RDA for 75 Elm Street to May 13th at 8 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, what about one back?
Tom,
Alan, I.
Chris, aye.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. All right, so. Add it one more time.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, looks like you reject meetings. Let's try weekend. We also have people from the high school wanting to talk with us.
let's try to get it.
Yeah, we'll try to get out.
We can't get Adam this time, I would suggest we continue the hearing.
Yeah. I'm with you anyway. Yeah.
Maybe, maybe, but.
He might not be paying attention because I'm like trying to promote a panelist, but it's not.
We could send a message, say, hey, when you.
Because it's
Stay
still
safe.
number.
Oh, well, I can email him.
Looked like he was in a.
So just,
Okay, but let's go on to the next one and we'll give him one more chance
yeah,
a little later. Okay. All right, so at 7:40, we have a COC for 16 Dogwood Drive. Construction of a single family.
actually, let's do high school athletic field first. So I don't, is anyone here for 16? 16 Dogwood. Let's see,
Okay.
there's could be someone online. I don't think they're here.
Okay,
I told them they
let's do
didn't.
this. Let's,
Oh, great, this is the high school. Yes, come on in.
Team of us tonight.
okay,
Sign in if you haven't already.
7:50 high school athletic field informal discussion. I can leave sign in everybody.
Scratch our lives.
Oh.
There's a couple of chairs back.
Or a couple chairs back here.
No.
There's a couple chairs.
Or here, I'll just take down with this chair.
Yeah.
Evening, members of the commission, Andrew Gorman from Beals and Thomas, joined with a large swath of the project team, representatives from Vertex, the school department, as well as the school committee and Beals and Thomas. You may remember we were before you on January 28th for an informal discussion of the athletic fields project on the northeast section of the Buck Regional High School campus. Prior to that, we had a site visit with Mary on January 11th. And we looked at the wetlands generally. Then we came before the commission for feedback in terms of our overall permitting strategy. At the time, we knew that we had some wetland resource area impacts within bordering vegetated wetland here. And within isolated vegetated wetland here on the eastern side, as well as other isolated wetland here in gray. During that January 11th site visit, the question was raised when we were walking the B series wetland, which is this BVW here, sort of southeast of the field. There was a pocket of standing water and the question came up, is this a potential vernal pool? So we waited till it was seasonally appropriate to do so, and we took the time to investigate these isolated wetlands, and we identified that the pool here in the B series, as well as the pool within the C series here, do contain conditions that are functioning as vernal pools. pools. So this puts us at the unique regulatory hurdle of, at least in terms of the bylaw, whereas the 100 feet from the exterior boundary of the vernal pool is regulated as part of the vernal pool itself, as well as an extension of the no disturb zone off of that to the vernal pool, similar to over here. There would be a 100-foot extension to the vernal pool, as well as an extension of the no disturb zone. So the feedback that we're looking for tonight is, in terms of the regulatory burden, is that something the commission feels can be overcome in terms of working within these vernal pool resource areas. So our previous discussion we went through, we realized that we had wetland resource area impacts within the BVW, within the IVW. Within the IVW, we presented a overall strategy we had for wetland replication, which has evolved since then. But now we have, again, the new unique regulatory challenge where we anticipate coming before the commission, looking for permission to alter what would be regulated as vernal pool habitat under the Act here, as well as part of the vernal pool itself under the bylaw. And then both in this case here, for the isolated wetland under the bylaw. So I realize that it's a big discussion topic for the commission. So we want to get your initial feedback informally so that can inform our design choices going forward and overall project direction. So I'd be happy to open the floor for any questions, comments, concerns.
So did you find egg masses and stuff?
Yep, so in the C series here, which is in the northeast, there were wood frog egg masses within the vegetation that is within the vernal pool. And then yellow spotted salamander egg masses here in the B series. Yeah.
I guess one comment, so
Yeah.
any area that's currently disturbed, I believe does not qualify as part of the vernal pool resource area. But if you're going
Into the vernal pool itself. Yeah.
into the
BVW.
into a 100 foot away from the vernal pool that's not disturbed, that would qualify as disturbance. So like anything that's there in existence that's within that vernal pool resource area, it's not actually, it's just.
So the interpretation of the bylaw then is it only counts as an alteration to the vernal pool if it's within an undisturbed portion of that additional 100 feet. Okay. So that's important clarification. Thank you.
Are you able to highlight any areas there that are already within 100 feet but disturbed?
So we have a tree line shown here, which is just close to the edge of the fence. So it would be about 100-foot offset. I don't have a scale with me, but it would probably be around here, and then the 100-foot note or the additional no disturbance zone, the 50-foot would be off of that. So going off of this contour here where the pool is, it would essentially lead up to this tree line, which is part of our limit of disturbance that we've shown here. So one of the things that's driving the size and the dimensions of this project is by sport regulation, the size of the track and the field. So we don't have a lot of wiggle room in terms of adjusting. So it would be an unavoidable alteration to work within the undisturbed portion of the vernal pool habitat in this area here and over here.
Is there anywhere you could mitigate for that loss?
Yes, so we've been, aggressively looking at our impact strategy here. We have, so before when we came, we were looking at using this whole area here. We decided to break it up into 3 replication areas, and they will have microtopography to have individual pockets of hydrology shown here. So this swath here off of the isolated wetlands. One down over here. And one down over here. So we're still working out the granular details of what that looks like. That's how we assembled our replication strategy.
So that's for the wetland.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is, are there any currently disturbed areas that could be basically reforested as upland by upland habitat for the frogs and spots?
We could certainly look into that. I'm not sure that we have the real estate for it necessarily in this area. But we can have those conversations and see if there's an alternative mitigation area perhaps.
Questions right now?
You guys probably already looked at that split. I don't even know the other fields that are there, but are the other fields big enough, like, so that the football field could go on one of the other fields? I don't even know this very well.
Yeah, so I don't have the site locus map with me because
Right.
we were just talking about this, but there are wetland resource areas that constrain this site when we looked at the plans. And this one is, I think, the most size intensive. Dave, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So it's wherever we go, there's going to be some fashion, we believe, of impact.
The other areas for the track and field, the footprint of that, if that was to be located on one of the other fields, it would expand a lot further into the other areas that are not wetlands, but there's a lot of topography and likely ledge, so the cost of that location would actually increase as opposed to this site right here.
Have you seen any spotted turtles?
Not myself, no.
Is there, there were sightings and, when if you go back, I don't know, 25 years ago,
Okay.
probably when this was permitted, there were spotted turtles in there, so probably, if they're still there, they're probably using those vernal pools.
So in a situation like this and with wetland replication in general, but in a particular case like this, we would try to save and reuse as much as we can of the existing substrate of the vernal pools, particularly where we have to have the direct alteration here and then target, save it off to the side, use it for areas of microtopography with new hydrology.
So you could conceivably mitigate for the loss from habitat by creating additional.
We believe we're able to, yeah.
So there's really two mitigation requirements. One is for the vernal pool itself, the area that is, waterlogged during the vernal pool season, and then the upland habitat that is needed for the vernal pool outputs.
So that would be something that I think the commission would want us to quantify. We could probably prepare a chart of, what is the disturbed area that we're not counting as vernal habitat, then an area takeoff of what would count as vernal pool under the bylaw, the 100-foot extension, so we can quantify and put a number to that and see if there's areas on the project site where we can provide additional upland habitat. Is that what I'm hearing correctly? Okay.
Any other comments from anybody, from the commission or the public?
For the replication areas, you believe would hold water?
Yeah, so what we would do is, and this would all be subject to monitoring as with any replication effort. We would have, and this design is subject to change before final, these areas of the lowest topography, so it would match, I think it's a 4, don't quote me on this, but I think this is a 276 or 77 contour, so the bottom elevations here would be the areas where we would expect to have standing water, and we have the ability to work and manipulate those and make those look like what we need to. Generally, this would be done in the field under the direction of a wetland specialist as well. So if the microtopography doesn't quite match the plan, it can be under that direction. But we would have essentially these smaller vernal pool areas here, and then scattered throughout here. And they would have.
And that elevation up top is similar to, I can't really touch any plan.
Yeah, so and it's gonna vary a little bit from area to area, but here we have these at 278. We have 277 here, so there's slight variations depending on the elevation of the adjacent upland. Yeah.
Well, you probably know this, but, it's possible to do some harm here. You don't want to create vertical areas which will attract breeding activity and then have them be areas that just dry out quickly.
Correct. Yeah.
So, you need to have someone on board who's actually trying to build vertical or mitigate. I would be really scared about like creating satellite small verticals. They could
dry it up.
They could attract breeding activity and dry up and better off now.
Right, so we'll take that into consideration. Maybe it's such that we don't have a chicken pox approach where they're, small areas, we are combining those and making those into a larger system and, adding button bush and things of that nature that can tolerate the hydro period. So we'll look into that on a more granular level and see what works. But ultimately tonight, we're hoping to get your feedback in terms of feasibility and we have understanding that this is a heavy regulatory burden to overcome in terms of the burden of proof. But it sounds like there's at least some direction we can take in providing additional mitigation.
One other question, just in terms of BPW or wetland impact.
Yeah.
How many square feet are you at right now? And are you gonna need a water quality cert for this, do you think? Are you gonna exceed 5,000?
Yeah, we don't exceed 5,000 square feet for the state, and I don't believe we do for the IVWs either. So when you combine them together, I don't have the number offhand, but we can certainly provide that to you, and it certainly will be provided as part of the application because our team had the same question when we were looking at overall wetland impacts, and it was below 5,000 square feet. Yep. But if it wasn't, then we would be subject to water quality. Yeah.
Any other comments? All right, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about?
No, this was extremely helpful. It gives us some direction and we're going to talk through that feedback and see how best we can approach this. So thank you for the time this evening. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And then more time, we're done.
See, I think he's there. Let's see if it works. Yeah. I'm not sure it's working for me. I'm declining.
Schedule it.
Yeah, we may just need to reschedule. See if they did even.
He's online though.
He's here.
Can we message him via Zoom and say, does he want to present or does he not want to?
If I can do
He's just a DM.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah. Not sure he can message back though, if he's not.
He likes to be.
Yeah.
Smoke signals, raise their hand twice. Yes. Once for no.
How long have we been meeting remotely?
No.
Can you put it in chat?
5 year.
I can chat to everyone, but I don't think he can reply in chat because he's,
Okay. Let's,
it's webinar.
you know, we've got other folks here and it's already
It's getting late.
getting late. So, let's continue, I'd like a motion to continue, East Street A and R Lot 1 until, 8:15 on May 13th. Is that okay?
Well, let's do a 7:15. I think there's room there.
7:15. I think Chris made that motion in a second.
Oh, second.
Oh, wait, somebody's raising their hand. It's Adam. Adam, can you talk now?
Have you raised in the panel?
He's allowed to talk. I can't hear him.
All right, so let's go 7:15.
Yeah, so we have motion and,
Second, yeah.
seconded, and any further discussion on the? No, roll call vote, my guy.
All right.
Aye.
Chris, aye.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
If you can hear us, Adam, sorry, but you know, we have to move on.
And we're scheduled to one.
7:15.
Okay, 13. Okay, so who's next? So the solar field's been.
Do we have to go, do we do the Dogwood Drive one?
I think we should do the beaver discussion because there's a lot
Yeah.
of people here for that.
Are they? Okay.
Well,
And,
online, there's like 10
Let's,
people that I assume are here for beavers.
Yeah, but
let's just remember, let's do the beavers, but let's remember that we make sure we continue the. Solar field, you know.
And we would need to limit the beaver discussion because we do have four other agenda items.
Can I ask a quick question on Silverfield? Have you visited that site at all, or you have? I didn't know if there were bank swallows nesting there. Who knows?
I didn't notice that, but that's a good question. I wasn't looking for that.
I would just be worried about losing that. I mean, they're
Oh.
colonial nesters. They are a state,
So
they are listed in the state wildlife action plan.
in the sand, like in the sand.
Yeah, I think there's like stacks
Yeah.
there, and they would be holes
Yeah.
that they nest in, so I would hate to see that colony get destroyed if they are there, I'm not sure, it was like 10 or 15 years ago that I was there.
Were they there 10 or 15 years?
I think so, but I'm not positive,
Okay.
but if you could check to see if there's holes there, that would be good, and I think they
What
don't,
do they call?
Thanks.
bank swallows, they don't start nesting until maybe early May. So, thank you.
Thanks, so, yeah, we'll make sure to check that. Okay, so just, let's clear this one off then. I'll make a motion to, continue the NOI for 169 South Street Solar Fields. In your time, Mary, on May 13th.
Yeah.
Second by Chris.
I guess we're up to 8:15.
Okay, any discussion on that? It's at 8:15. Hearing none. Roll call vote, my guy.
all right.
Alan, I.
Chris, aye.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, so that one's off. Okay, we have discussion for Fowler Street Beavers at 8:15.
You know what? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
John's been sitting here a while.
Yeah.
Oh, John must hear about the beavers.
Well,
What is
Just
your?
wants to take the beavers.
this is very quick.
Yeah, very quick. I'm John Mastriani, work for Lobus and Companies, regarding 47 Main. In our, excuse me, our order of conditions of that property was that we'd have a third party wetland science come in every time there's a quarter inch of rain. I am certified by the EPA to do the SWIP test inspections. I've been doing it with Mary for a long time. Excuse me, I losing my voice. And And what I would like to ask, if we could have that limited for them coming in once a month, and then I'll do all the other inspections. Excuse me, I'm gonna turn my voice.
I'll pull that up. The order of conditions called for, I mean, there's the regular SWIP inspections, and I think they called for after
Quarter of an inch.
every quarter-inch storm for the third-party consultant to come out
Mhm.
and do a review. So like we have Desheng Wang doing third-party reviews down there. So he does it every 2 weeks. And I think after rain, it's a slightly different project though. That's a much bigger project. So this one, so I think you wanted it to be once a month.
Yeah, I would have them come out once a
Come once a
month,
month.
do the normal SWIP
And he
on
would do
quarter
it.
inch frames. I'm on site every day, so I'm there.
So we could say, for example, once a month, and instead of the quarter-inch, which was kind of low, but like if there's a 2-inch storm, something, or 1.5 inch, have them come out. I don't know. That's.
Yeah.
About 1 inch.
Yeah.
1 inch.
Okay, is there a rain gauge on?
Yes.
Yeah. So we just say once a month.
Anything over.
Or something over an inch and other smaller storms.
Okay, great.
Is that all right with everybody?
Yeah.
We need to vote on it or just, I think.
It is one of the conditions, so I think we should vote on it. So then I'll write him a little letter. So it's
No motion. Motion to approve.
Condition 28.
Modification of. Condition 28.
Yeah, modification of version 28. Instead of monthly. Instead of monthly inspections unless storms are an inch of rain or greater.
Let's to motion to allow the applicant's representative, that was third party representative, to monitor storms. Less than 1 inch.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote, my side.
All right.
Shannon,
Yes.
I.
Marcella, I.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice one. Okay.
Yeah.
But I stripped you on the way up.
Nice call.
all right.
Okay, I'm up.
Yeah.
Okay, both for my sake and for yours, I'm gonna be really, really brief. This is primarily an update, just to let you know, the Fowler Street Beavers say hello. One of them is out there working. I think the mom is in the lodge getting ready to give birth, and they kicked the adolescents out of the lodge. So their population has significantly declined. If I haven't already, I did want to thank you folks for, and you, Tom, for having the beaver guy come out and work with us to look at putting a beaver deceiver in there. And the folks that are part of this group have opted, not to recommend going that route. For all this, the guy was really good and he explained it, and it kind of made sense that that wasn't something we should do. But I did want to talk about something that we are looking at doing. And I am going to be staring hard at Bill Taylor, who I can't see. I am not a lawyer, so I can be wrong about this stuff. I admit I'm valuable. But we are planning to request a meeting with the town manager about looking at a moratorium on issuing permits to remove beavers. And we're doing this for a couple of reasons. I was looking at the law, and I looked at the law. I didn't have AI look at the law for me. So my eyes are totally shot. I don't trust AI for that I can throw it. And it seems that we need to have a clear policy and clear regulations about how to go about issuing emergency permits, who does it, how they do it. I looked at the Board of Health according to state law, chapter 131, section 88, which is so-called beaver law. the Board of Health and only the Board of Health can issue permits to go in and trap beavers. There is a permit that people have to fill out to get the emergency permit. I mean, it's a physical thing. There has to be a line in that permit for the landowner or the property owner. I don't believe we have that permit. I could not find it anywhere online. The issuing agent has to be the Board of Health or the Board of Health agent. I don't believe that's how we have it set up. I talked to the new Board of Health agent and he didn't know what I was talking about. I talked to a member of the Board of Health and, she said, well, they defer it to the animal control officer, who, just for the record, I think is an amazing person who does an amazing job. But it's my understanding this is not his job to make the determination. So either the Board of Health or the Board of Health agent has to make the determination that this is indeed an emergency, and then they can sign off on it. I don't think we have that process in place. At least I could not find any paperwork. And
Did you talk to, so the people at the Board of Health did not have an actual permit?
I cannot find it anywhere, and I asked. There's nothing on the Board of Health. There's something, thank you, Conservation Commission. There's something on the Conservation's Commission's
Because I
website.
know that when it comes up from a DPW perspective,
Yeah,
they go to the Board of Health
yeah.
to get the permit.
Do you fill out a permit?
No, it's a,
Well, they go to the Board of Health to get a permit,
is
or
it like
permission
a verbal, like,
to trap.
But is it verbally or is it written?
is it an email?
I've never seen it,
Yeah.
so, but I know that they go to the Board of Health.
Yes.
There may not be a
Yes.
formal piece of paper.
And this is why we're asking for a moratorium, because there has to be a permit. It's not verbal, it's not,
It's a 10-day permit.
yeah.
And this is under the state law.
Yeah,
And all-
and they're acting on behalf of the Mass Wildlife.
Right.
Mass Wildlife has basically deferred their
Yeah.
decision, or referred their decision to them.
Correct.
So I don't know that we could do a moratorium.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, well, if we don't have a process in place, then how it's being done is not, the town is not issuing permits. So the Mass Wildlife may be deferring to the town, but the town, by doing it verbally, isn't,
Right.
yeah,
There's no way to track it.
there's no way to track it. There's no way, the permits aren't being issued because they're not being signed. And the property owner doesn't have, any say.
Opportunity to.
And so, again, this is something I'm sure will go through council. Because again, I am not, and the other reason would we think that this is a good time to do this moratorium. I mean, if there's an emergency, there's an emergency, there's an emergency, and I'm sure there are ways to deal with it. I mean, like if all of a sudden, I can't think of what would happen, 100-year flood comes in and washes out the roads because of the beaver dam. But, this is a time where it's recommended that the destruction of the beaver population is minimized anyway, because the mother is going to be giving birth soon. And I think they recommend, and folks may know better than me, but I think it's between May 1st and July 15th or something like that. They recommend not, trying to avoid taking out beavers because that's when the kids are wholly dependent on their parents. So, I don't know what type of emergency situations would arise that would require in a short period of time. I don't think this is going to take a long time. I mean, it's just getting the paper, just getting the system in place, getting the paper, getting the Board of Health to add something to its regulations. It's nothing in its rules and regulations that addresses this, and this is in their jurisdiction. And again, I love the people on the Board of Health. I have no problems with anyone in the town about it. Everyone's been wonderful, but we do need a process to do that. And so that's sort of the basis of what we're asking for. And we have a letter that I haven't submitted yet because I haven't time to submit it. But I will be getting a copy to Mary and folks can look at it. But again, we understand, I read the state law several times. And, it's very clear the state, has, basically it's given, as you said, a deferred authority to remove beavers, to the Board of Health, and, there's nothing we can do to say, hey, we don't want you.
And I believe if the Board of Health doesn't act or were to turn it down and the applicant wanted to contest that, they would just go to Fisheries and Wildlife
Yes,
and get the
yes,
permit directly from them.
Yes, oh, yeah, I mean, there's tons of, I didn't want to put like 300 pages of.
Like a
regulations.
private trapper, could trap them during trapping season.
You could trap or trap.
Yeah, I mean, so it's,
They could trap on their own property and trap.
well, they could trap on anyone's property that wasn't posted.
And, well, they have to get permission, according to state law, they have to ask for permission, and they have to have property owner sign.
No, that's to get a permit. If you're not getting a permit, you don't need property owner permission if the land isn't posted.
Okay, I was talking to a trapper, and he said that he had to get his neighbor's permission, he got them all.
Yeah, well, that may
Yeah.
be, but he doesn't have to,
Okay,
right, unless it's posted.
Yeah.
If it's posted, he has to.
yeah, I'm not dealing with, I mean, this will be done long before hunting season.
Yeah,
So
I'm
I
just
do a
saying,
deep dive.
the only thing is, I'm okay with whatever you do, but.
Yeah.
Moratorium, I don't know that that's something. I'm not sure I understand.
No, well,
moratorium, but-
it would be until, the reason for the moratorium is because we need to get the process in place. And I'm talking fast, and I'm sorry for not being clear. So that folks can have a permit. It can be evaluated to make sure it's indeed, by the Board of Health, to make sure it's indeed a emergency. A property owner, and Warren in the
Yeah,
Powell
right.
Street Beavers case, that would be me, has to sign.
Wouldn't it be a bunch of people? All the people in the other bank?
No, it's just where the beavers are.
Well, okay, so without getting into the nitty gritty, you don't just have to trap them up there at the dam and the thing, you can trap them
That's
all the way up to town
That's correct.
property. All the way, so I'm just
But then we
asking.
would have to get their permission to go on their property. The bottom line is, but we don't even have the permit. We don't even ask people to fill out a permit. So saying who has to sign it is a
Yeah, I
step,
don't-
it's a step in the other direction.
I've had a trap under the permit before when the person's well was being.
Yeah.
The water system was being polluted or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had to trap those and it was under the 10-day permit.
Yeah.
But what the person who hired me got the permit.
Mhm.
So I did not see it.
Mhm.
So I don't know what it looked
Yeah.
like or anything,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of, so are
You
you
may
just
just-
looking for a permit? Like, is that?
I'm looking for a
Like-
permit and a policy.
Of formalizing the process.
Okay,
Formalized.
so, and just to. So what is an emergency?
That is
They, determination made by the board.
Well, that's what I thought, right, but that's what you use the term emergency, and you're saying.
well, no, it's called an emergency permit. That's,
Right, okay.
so,
But-
and emergency is a loose term.
Okay,
Well, it's a determination made by the
Yeah.
board.
okay,
Is it
fine, that's it.
defined? Like, is there like?
It's a threat to human.
Health
Yeah,
and safety.
or infrastructure.
It's a loose definition,
Yeah, okay.
it's not specifically that.
Well, that's what I was
well,
wondering,
that-
if you were like looking for a list of specific.
No, the list is in the law and
Okay,
it's really loose,
okay.
so again, I read it over and over. I was looking for loopholes, man, it ain't there. So, and again, I don't think this will take very long. I think it'll take, because other towns have model permits. So we need the piece of paper and we need the regulations and we need, the Board of Health to meet. And I'm more than happy to reach out to the Board of Health, to talk about sort of formalizing this.
Yeah, because we don't, they're a whole separate entity.
I know. I know,
Yeah, I mean, and we share the beaver budget with them. Maybe if there's some institutional knowledge that has been lost with some turnover there. Because we've been doing this for a long time and they've been
Right.
issuing permits. I've never seen them, but they said they've been issuing them,
Right.
but so they must be doing something. Maybe someone lost the process.
or is it just, again, we're a small town.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just people emailing, somebody, Mike and say, Mike, beavers are
Yeah.
threatening my well. Can you, and Mike does it, because that's how the town's always done it, that's possible. I have not talked to Mike. That was one of the many things I meant to do.
Well, yeah, Mike wouldn't issue permits, he's the
He wouldn't.
animal controller.
Right, but
He's
he-
not, he's not the Board of Health, the Board of Health has to issue. Mike could do it, I guess, as an employee of town of Buckland.
Yeah.
He could do it for the town of Upton on town property or for
Yeah.
town infrastructure, but he would not be the guy that says yes or no.
Here again, I don't know because there's nothing and nobody seems to know. And that's why we were looking at,
Yeah.
you know, sort of encouraging this. You know, and talking to, you know, the town manager and the board of health. And, you know, just getting this formalized so that it's done, you know, the property owner has a say. He has sign off. And that
Does the property owner have to say if it's an emergency?
we have to sign emergency permits, all permits according to the law,
Okay, but
including emergency permits.
So in effect, the owner is acknowledging that this activity is, tracking is gonna take place.
Yes, yes.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it seems like it would be nice, I don't know if they, you know, in their annual report, you know, how many permits do they issue and for how many beavers, it'd be nice to have that information.
Yeah. And it'd also be nice, you know, just so folks could know, it's like, you know, when the Board of Health looks at it. You know, as you said, it's a very loose definition, you know, it's the threat. It's not even something, it has happened, it's a threat that it will happen. And so it'd be nice to be able to see how that decision is made. And, you know, the Board of Health agent is brand new. And so this is a good time to train them.
I think we
So-
had
Yeah, we've got, see, John Herding and
Marcel.
Marcella both want to speak, so, Marcella, can you go first?
Kathy may have answered my question. I was wondering if you had investigated what other towns were doing, and you did mention other towns. So I guess you know, we have some idea of what how other towns are managing it. And just to clarify, are we just talking about trapping beavers, or are we also talking about breaching dams? For which you also need a permit, correct?
I can answer that. That's where the commission
Right.
comes in. Water management, breaching the dams. Then a separate potential emergency permit is needed that Mary has authority to issue.
So
But you're
who
supposed-
aren't it in that case?
But you're supposed to follow up with an actual permit application after the emergency permit.
Which we have not.
Which we've not. So there's an issue there too with the commission's policy.
So in order for the commission to act on a request to breach, shouldn't there have been a 10-day permit issued by the Board of Health?
Not.
Well, it's still an
necessarily.
emergency issue.
10 days,
But
that's
that's
for the
the trap-
trapping.
Yeah.
No, I think that's an emergency permit, recognizing that the Beavers dam has resulted in risk.
We have removed dams without traffic, like.
Yes.
Up there at the golf course, down by the railroad tracks, because it really wasn't. It wasn't good habitat, and the beavers were unlikely to rebuild it, they were just fawning on us. So there are times when dams have been breached, when we didn't trap. That's all I'll say. It wasn't necessarily.
Is there a similar assessment that the dam should be breached because it's presenting some risk, right?
Sure. yeah.
And my understanding all along is the emergency permit issued in effect by Mass Wildlife is required to basically do either of those actions or both of them.
Okay.
Does the landowner have to sign off on both of those?
Well, they have to sign off on the emergency permit issued by the Board of Health.
But not for,
Well, again, we have to go back.
Not
and
for
resolve.
I do believe
We
they
have to look at
do.
the form.
I think they have to sign off on both. I was hoping, I cut and pasted some key parts of section 40 and section 88, but not that section where it talks about the Board of Health responsibility. The Conservation Commission's responsibility. But I think that when you're looking to reach a dam, that's sort of coordinated maybe with and I'm relying on my faulty memory here, with the Board of Health, and I do believe it also needs the property owner's signature.
We've breached dams without the Board of Health.
Okay.
Like,
There's
I
a
don't-
valid-
I've never used the
Yeah.
Board of Health to breach a dam. Yeah,
Well,
they-
so
they
the
cover-
Mass Wildlife has a detailed
Yeah.
description of the process, so refer to that.
Yeah, I looked at that too. But I didn't do that one careful.
Marcelo, anything else?
Hey, can I interrupt you super quick? Sorry.
I'm good.
Becky is locked outside and she's trying to get in. Can somebody let her in?
Oh, in the town hall?
Yeah, she's at she says she's at the front door, the basement, in the front of the building.
I'll go get her.
Okay, thank you. And I'm done.
Was Marcella finished?
I'm done.
Okay,
Okay, you're all set?
Tom has a question.
Okay, and,
Yeah, I guess just a question on record keeping. It seems like I went to the Board of Health, or I went to Concom, I could get records of dam breaches and beaver traps.
Oh, it'd be nice.
But I mean, is that a requirement?
Oh,
A requirement if you want to do.
Well, there's no doubt that what I think essentially Cassidy is suggesting is that there should be a document process. And there should be some record of every action.
And I agree, but I didn't know if the state law required keeping records of that. That's my question.
Well, they don't think they do, but I
Okay.
don't go by that.
Yeah, yeah.
Teresa wasn't there, John. But I found someone else.
What I do?
Yeah.
is someone sitting here?
No, it's in there.
No.
All right,
Yeah.
where are we?
We gotta- We got.
Commission should look at our own
Right.
procedures. And
And
we should have. Emergency permits in the past that we issued, we should have copies of.
Yes, yes, we do.
That we. We may not always have, followed up with some actual notes of that. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
we need to check on that. I remember we did that for certain projects, for South Borough Road, bogs. We did an NOI there. But there though, I think, remember we had, I think it was Greg Trussell, we moved an entire dam, I think it was, remember that? And there was no sort of time for that.
Yeah, one of them, I reached, was flooded all over. Well, just a little bit and then it collapsed.
Probably statute of limitations, it's probably passed, so anyway.
Sounds good.
Just as a side, two things I would like this commission to consider and also with the Board of Health. One of them is, when evaluating an emergency, to evaluate an emergency. I think I mentioned earlier, there was just a colony of beavers taken out, I think it was behind West Hill Road, because of an E. coli problem. And I sincerely doubt that E. coli was caused by beavers. They could have contributed to it, but I think the primary contributors would be septic systems, farm runoff and geese. And so I think that beavers tend to be scapegoated. Sometimes it's causing problems, when they don't. So when things do, again, the regulations are really loose, about what constitutes an emergency. But I think that's a consideration that, beavers don't, you have a serious E. coli problem on Pratt Pond, it's not the beavers. And so, and the other thing I would like to recommend is consideration again of trying not to issue permits during the time when the kids are in the dens. Because it's cool.
If they're gonna get rid of the beavers, they're gonna get rid of all of the beavers.
Yeah.
If they're going to.
Yeah. But there's, the level of cruelty and leaving baby beavers to starve in the den is just unfortunate.
Now I understand.
Yeah, so that's where the kids are.
around.
Oh, no, I'm not saying when,
Okay.
yeah. No, I mean, there's that period of time that, So I would like to ask this board, and I'll ask the help and, the same thing.
Yeah, so the Board of Health determination that beaver dam constitutes a threat is required for any action that mitigate the problem. So trapping and or dam bridging.
Okay. And there's also, and this is something that people may want to talk about or put when you guys are looking at, your own webpage. There's really strict regulations governing the type of traps that can be used.
State law.
It's state law. And so, and I think sometimes people don't necessarily know that. So I think that, the education of people who are getting licenses or looking for, the emergency permits, even if it's on their own property, need to understand, there should be like a handout or something, which I'd be more than happy to help people write. Because God knows, as I said, I've read that damn law.
Yeah, that's a
The
state
trapper
law.
would know.
Yeah, that's
they have
state
to
law,
abide
and
by
if they're
state law.
gonna be an animal damage control person, they have to be licensed, they have to go through the training, a trapper has to go through trapper training.
Okay,
It's all,
that's right.
it's
You
a
have to
state
fi-
law,
yeah, You have to hire a trapper, yeah.
yeah, it's all state law. It's pretty simple, it's, with the permits, you can use the conibears.
Yeah.
And then you've got the different type of.
Yeah.
Cage,
Yeah.
well, you can use, cage traps,
Cage
but you
traps.
also got the suitcase trap.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there were 3 types specified.
Yeah, there's a Hanson, and a Bailey, and
Conibear, yeah.
the Conibear, Haley, something like that, been a while.
So Oakham has a farm.
Huh?
Oakham has a farm. And that it's a state mandated. 10 days, Board of Health, you're right, property owner acknowledgement.
So that's basically the quick update and, our major focus is again, the Fowler Street beavers, but, some of the stuff we're talking about, pertains to beavers throughout the community.
Is there anything you'd like from the commission with this?
Yeah, I mean, just clarity and, sort of revisiting, the permit and the permit process. Also, it might, if you wanna look at, I couldn't find you used to have on your sidebar, help if there's beavers or something, I couldn't find that when I was looking at it.
I think we've rearranged those in a little
So
bit. That should be on there.
It's still there though.
It's still there.
You have to blow up one of the
Yeah.
icons,
Okay.
and there's an additional drop menu.
Yeah. And maybe if there's some of this stuff, and I can write some stuff up for the commission's, review to think about putting up there and. And I can get the commission models if they want it, but yeah, I just wanted your love and understanding of what we're doing.
Well, I've heard that, our information maybe could be a little bit more balanced in the value of beavers, and
Yeah.
we will look into that.
Yeah. Like the title, Help, I Have a Beaver Problem. I never liked that title. It's like, what do you do if you have beavers? Nice, gentle, and sweet. So,
Yeah, like when to worry about them.
Yeah. yeah. And again, Mary, let me know, so I don't deluge you with information. Let me know what I can do to help.
Okay.
Alright. And we will be talking to the Board of Health, so the Board of Health may.
Yeah, that's good. I was gonna ask him, talk to him about something. Yeah.
Anything else? Thank you.
Well, I think we're behind you.
I know,
I didn't have a key. Yeah, she's been sitting outside listening to this remotely.
About that.
So,
So we moving on.
Yeah, where are we now? Thank you.
Sawmill,
Some.
yeah.
thank you, folks.
Yeah, good evening. COC for 6 Willowbrook Lane,
Okay.
311 and 841.
I'm gonna send that out first thing in the morning.
So,
Huh?
Yeah, Rick
Rick
is here, I'll be showing the pictures. Unless you guys have
you still with us, Chris?
questions.
Hey, Chris, you still there?
Okay, so Rick is only looking for partial certificates. He is not completely done and ready, right? This is the as-built for, I think, this is number 7, which is lot 3. This one had 8 bounds. Here's the bounds. This is the one that had the riverfront area that they were gonna put 4 trees in to restore it. So it was a limited riverfront area. And basically, here's the house. Here's riverfront area. He's got his 4 trees in, the bounds are in. So unfortunately, I didn't catch this on the plans. Sean had the detail for the bounds as being more in the ground than they should have been, so. Some of them were installed that way, some of them are 2 to 4 inches out of the ground. This is mainly in the lawn section where,
That'd be a problem, yeah.
yeah, so. It's not the greatest, so if you guys want Rick to pull them up, those ones, we should tell them. I think the bunch in the woods, I actually caught them before they were all installed, and so the ones in the woods, I hope they put in correctly.
What you say?
Yes, hi, everybody.
All right.
We did install those correctly. I had sent you some pictures of those. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's just like you said, it's the 3 that are on just to the right of the tree plantings in this picture that were roughly 2 to 4 inches out of the ground.
Well, I guess the concern is, they'd be a hazard to a lawnmower. That's what we're thinking about. At least what I'm thinking about anyway, rather. So, if you're, I don't know, if you're willing to accept that hazard for your future owner.
No, I'm willing to do what you guys want me to do. I understand what you're saying. It's, of course, it's a pain in the butt to lift them out. It is a sloped area. So like the down edge, the leading edge is probably 4 inches, and the other side is probably 6 inches out of ground. So it's, because it is on a slope. But I hear your points. But if you're fine with them staying that height, I'm fine with them staying that height. The others, like she said, they are.
Maybe you can put a pipe there, and then it's up to the future owner that if the pipe comes down and they hit it with their lawnmower or trip on it, then it's up to them.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. Just put something that sticks a little further out of the ground.
I don't have an issue with it really. I mean, it'd be nice if they were higher, but I'm not gonna. I don't have an issue.
Put a PVC sleeve over it. I mean, all sorts of options.
Yeah, just so they know it's there.
Yeah.
And lessons learned for any other bounds that need to be put in. I'm not sure if any others do, but
Yeah.
in other lots.
All right, and so, yes, obviously the landscape, the grass isn't in yet. The trees require 2 years of monitoring, so he'll still need to do that. The order also calls for an informational flyer for the new homeowners. I think I'm gonna get Lauren on that shortly, because the homeowners obviously will be moving in soon. Just about, riverfront area and the vernal pool. I mean, these lots have a lot on them, just about the different restrictions and what's allowed and what's not allowed. So this is on us to develop, that's not on Rick. And. Yep, that's pretty much it for this one. So we're just recommending issuing a partial COC for this one. And one of the continuing conditions specifies the amount of riverfront area that was altered for this lot. And that's the limit on it, so. And that'll be something explained to homeowners as well. So. Rick, when's the closing on this one?
Friday.
Friday, he's hoping for a partial COC for Friday.
Okay, any further discussion on this? We have a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for 6 Sawmill Road 311-0841.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, hearing none,
I just have a question. Is that informational sheet going to be ready and prepared for Friday so the buyer can receive it at closing?
No, we're gonna have to get it to the buyer after closing, I think.
Okay, can we add that to the conditions to deliver that?
Well, it is part of the order of conditions, so I'll add it to it'll say on the partial what things still need to be completed, and so that'll
Okay.
be on. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Bring on, Mike on.
Aye.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Okay, thank you. The second one is the COC for 7 Sawmill Brook Lane, 311-0842.
I think we might have just did them in reverse.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so that we're on to, we did them in reverse, so now we're on to 6.
Okay, so we voted on 842 already. Okay, so that for the minutes, we'll just have to correct that. And we're now on 841.
Sorry, I did them in that order because the first one was the easier one. Sorry.
Didn't see that.
All right, so this one, house is built, bounds are in, same, obviously the grass still needs to be put in. When the engineer was staking out the bounds, it was discovered, and it shows it clearly, that instead of clearing, the limit of work should have gone right here. But instead, the limit of work went like here. And if you guys remember with this project, he must have used the original plans and not the final approved plans to stake it out. Because we had asked them, because this is riverfront area, and we asked for a smaller riverfront area disturbance. And I didn't, when I did walk this whole line, and it was kind of difficult to tell in the woods. Maybe I should have spent more time on it, but I didn't catch it either. But the engineer, when he was doing his as-built and locating the bounds, noticed this, so
What's it look like now?
So yes, we have some pictures. So the whole area is basically prepped to be grass. And so obviously it needs to be restored. Okay, this should be grass. So we're looking, this is the erosion control line. These are bounds installed. This part's okay. The part that's not okay is the area beyond the well. Basically, I think there's a bound right about here, and there's a bound up here. And the well actually falls. The well is supposed to be in the disturbed area. The well actually is like 4 feet out. So the well was put in the wrong spot too, but Rick and I discussed that the well is just going to end up being in a shrubbery or bush, and that's okay. I think it's only 4 feet away, so if they ever need to access it, it's not that far off. So I was looking at these trees in this area with an eye of replanting kind of what's there. There's the white pines, but there's, which I'm not necessarily recommending for planting, but there's also, this is all sweet birch or black birch in here. Supposedly does well in full sun, and it's what's there. So we could have them put a bunch of that in addition to some maples. I was thinking maybe instead of doing like the other spot, we did 4 big trees, maybe we would do like a whole bunch of smaller trees here that would be.
Landscape, restoration grade material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave them the link for New England Wetland Plants where you can get them for $17 a pop, which just seems. So the question is, how many, and what kind of varieties do we want? And
Do you want to put any kind of seed mix in there?
I would think a seed mix as well. I think we should have some tree plantings.
Tree shrub.
Yeah, potentially shrubs. You could do like this is upland, so you could do like a witch hazel or something like that.
Do we have a square footage for that area?
That is a good question. Rick, do you know?
I would say that is roughly, let's say, call it 50 by, say 50 by 80. 3,500 square feet or so, is that right? Or is that too big? 50 by 80. Yeah, it's roughly 4,000 square feet. I'd say it's between 3,000 and 4,000.
So if you go 8 foot centers, just starting out thinking there, that's 62.
62
That's,
trees.
but if we get, so it's 4,000. If you go 10 foot centers, that's 100. That's
So-
40, I mean, it's 40.
40
So
40
the-
times $17 is.
Well, so, I mean, with the pines and stuff will naturally feed in there, I imagine. I
Yeah, that's
don't think we should kill them on it, but I,
Along the border, you know, because the rest of the stuff, like
yeah,
I was saying, near the woods, it'll sort of filter out, but just maybe some of the plantings along the edge, so it's really delineated.
right. And then throw a seed mix and just make sure the homeowner knows they can't be mowing it and stuff like that.
If we go to 12 foot centers, I'm just throwing this out, it's around 30,
30.
28.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Yeah, 30 times, that would be like $600 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
plus
that's
the
reasonable.
installation charge will be.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll probably
Do it
install
themselves.
it themselves.
Yeah. So it's potentially 30.
I think Al makes a good point though, is almost making a line along the line
Mhm.
and not worrying so much about the wood line.
Yeah.
All right, so are we in agreement here
So we're gonna issue a partial COD with these conditions.
with the replicate, with, I think,
Yeah,
a
restoration.
restoration line? Yeah. So, did we agree on, say, 30 trees, small trees?
Restoration, right?
Yeah. Small
And
trees
seed mix.
and seed mix. And put a bunch of trees along the line, so it's well delineated. Okay,
And we native trees,
native trees.
no pines.
Okay, pines growing in there.
Yeah. They're pines. Right. We motion to issue this yet.
Need a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay, so that is a motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance. So this one is 311-0480841, correct? Mary? It's 841.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Ellen, is that what you did?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? Hearing none. Mike, on.
Tom, I.
Alan, I.
Chris, on.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
You too. Ready for you.
Bye-bye.
Well, Chris?
I very powerful about paper. But I have a lot of questions about that. We have plans of, we were.
Okay, Chris. Yeah, talk, yes, let's, try to get some of that information up on the website. Yep. Okay, thanks.
You doing dogwood right now?
Yeah, where are we here? COC for $16.
Yeah, we have 10 and 16. I don't think we have anybody here. All right. So. Should screen it. So I'm doing 10 Dogwood. This is the as-built plan. And this is number 10 right here. And it has, it's one of the lots that's closer to the wetlands. This is the 100-foot buffer goes along here. And the conservation restrictions back, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bounds. And the 6 bounds are all installed. This is pretty simple. This is the order of conditions. Here's the house. Here's the rear of the yard, several of the bounds, and then they go along this way. Part of the detention basin is on his lot, and he has been kindly mowing the edges for the town. So that is, so this one is relatively straightforward. And he mows along the, there's the bridge, he mows alongside the bridge too. Yeah, so there's a conservation restriction on this lot, it's been recorded, there's no real issues with this one, as far as I can tell. So recommend issuing a full certificate of compliance for 10 Dogwood.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Mike, aye?
Aye.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Chris said aye. Okay, unanimous vote. Okay, the next one is 16, Doug.
Yeah, so this one is a little bit more complicated.
Of course.
So you'll remember, this is the one where they asked, was conservation area and they accidentally cleared it and they're like, oh, please, let's fix this. So we redrew up the deeds and everything and they put it on this lot, which as you can see, it leaves a very small envelope for the house, okay? And, oops. So here's my review of the lot. All right, so this is behind the house. Here's some bounds. This part looks fine, although they have, this is the CR in here. They've cleared a few small trees, not a lot, just a few pines. I think it's okay. They also
Like they have a pine needle problem.
I think so. They also have a small pile of wood here. And so this is the real problem is the side of their property, okay? So the bound is right here. So the CR basically includes this whole hillside. And they put the patio in, they should have gotten a permit, okay? But if you look here, the patio, I believe, is completely outside the CR. See, here's the CR lines go approximately here, these green lines. So the patio is actually okay. And kind of the order on this, so this is construction, all right? This is like spring of 2016. That revised plan went through summer of 2016, okay? And then notice their grading, okay? So they knew, I don't know that they had it staked out, but this is what the contractor did. They graded all the way out. This is all into the CR, okay? So the homeowner has been, they have this is extremely small lot as it is, and they've been maintaining it as lawn, it's graded, whatever. And this is one of the cases where she said they came into the commission and asked that 2 of the bounds be removed, and they were in this section. And one of these pictures, you can't really see it on this slide, but if you zoom in on your map, you can see the bounds in place here, and now they're gone. So I'm pretty sure the green line is in the right spot.
But yeah, we removed them just
For safety.
for safety.
For safety reasons.
And because they weren't really needed, because you still have other bounds which show where the green line is.
Right, exactly. So you can, there's a bound here and there's a bound there, so you can see them, you can see it. But in the end, I guess I'm not too concerned about the patio. They should have gotten a permit for it. Wetland is right. Wetland is very close. on this site. So this is wetlands right here. It's very close to the site. This one, I think, zoom in. See, it's too bad these houses where they disturbed where it was in the middle, these guys actually have a lot more room. So they ended up making this lot extremely tight. And it doesn't actually show the wetland because I think it's off the, well, here it's edge of wetlands up there, but it goes into here. So I don't, it's really, I think our beef is really with the contractor. And I don't know how we feel about, you know, that grading in the CR. I mean, ideally, they would have built a retaining wall, I guess, if they were gonna. But, you know.
It's the homeowner's intention to not maintain that in the future now that they know.
I think she, you know, it's kind of rough grass. I think she's, you know, with it being so close to the house, I don't know whether I caught a picture of the house. I think she would like to keep it mowed because of ticks and stuff like that. It's extremely close. They're not like
I mean,
10
this is
houses.
why we,
Right.
these are the problems we have when we allow people to remove bounds, right?
Right.
Because then, and we try to trust people, but then we sort of have enough experience, we know that you're going to come and do this. And I don't think, it's a moral hazard if we just let them get away with it. I think they should just, yeah, they should not maintain it.
Yeah.
And, if, you know, if they're gonna continue to maintain it, then we have problems and maybe have bounds put back in. It's pretty clear.
Actually, where's, and they might have it as mostly mulch. Yeah, I think it's mostly mulch. What is it? Some of it's lawn and some of it's mulch. Yeah, I guess a lot of it's mulch. So they're maintaining it as mulch.
As long as they don't do any further.
Yeah, mulching.
Yeah, they should let it
Just let it.
Let it
let it
back.
go, yeah.
We won't have them replant or anything, but just let it go back.
Yeah, I just find that the way the contractor did it with, oh, we messed up these trees with the slab, let's switch it, and then, but he didn't even make sure it was pristine on, that's the part that's bugging me.
Problem is the homeowners.
Well, yeah, we can't leave it on the homeowner, obviously. I was wondering, kind of wondering if we could use this to say, hey, will you fix up the end of the cul-de-sac, because he messed this thing up. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's reasonable to ask for the contract to the
Yeah.
contractor, yeah. But for this homeowner, they should
Yeah.
just be directed to not
Not
do any further maintenance in that area, just let it go.
And the, there's still bounds there which can
Yeah.
delineate.
Yep, there's still bounds. Yeah, so I think, yeah, that was really the, I think you could issue a COC here if you guys were confident, if you felt comfortable with that. I don't think at this point we're gonna ask the contractor to put a retaining wall in or whatever.
No, I don't think.
So, your motion to issue a COC for 311-0678.
So move.
Second,
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, Mike,
Aye.
Alan, I.
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
all right, so where are we?
That's a good question.
You know, that graded before.
I think we have to actually make a motion to continue 68 Grove Street. They've requested it, but we have to officially do that.
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mike, aye.
Tom, I.
Alan,
Shannon, I.
Marcella, I.
Did we, you did already continue the solar field, right? The 8:15. So I think maybe that's all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're into administrative report.
Yeah, just a second to share my screen. Right, so I met, with, as part of this Dogwood thing, sending letters to everybody, I reached out to Jake and Annie at Two Dogwood again, and, we had a discussion, and that's on the next agenda, but I just want to let you know that that we had a discussion with them.
So that's the next meeting, you mean?
That'll be our next
Okay.
meeting. It's not listed yet, but we'll have discussion on that. I was out at 10 Mechanic Street. They're looking for an occupancy soon. This was an ALDP. It's mostly ready. They have put all the trees. This is one where we had them put trees in, and they have the trees in. They need they hadn't put their stormwater in yet, though. They're supposed to have along the driveway, basically a ditch, a dry well with stone ditch to get the water. So they still need to do that. We did have 2 people reach out to help with Earth Day. Hopefully you noticed that it got out, and I imagine they've been talking to you, Bill. So
Delivered the bags.
you delivered the bags. That's great. So I'm glad that that's happening. So that's good. And when I was reviewing the solar project, I was looking at your map a lot, and it got looking at Goss Pond, and I'm like, what on earth are there docks on Goss Pond? There's 2 docks there. One was put in 2019, and one seems to have been put in before 2015. I don't see that there's any permitting on record for them on our standpoint. They should have permits at the very least. And one of them almost looks like they put fill in to put the dock in, because it's very marshy around there, and it looks like you can drive up to the dock. So I think we probably should send letters.
Yeah.
And at least ask them to go for permitting. I mean, I don't, it's whether we would, it seems like an awful small pond to have a dock on, but because.
Pond thing.
Yeah, docks.
Yeah, there's there's been one there for a while. And there's a new one now.
Yeah, one that went in about 2019. So these have been here for a while, but still they should have done. And the one has fill. It's not just a boardwalk.
Yeah, I have some pictures from around 2014.
Okay.
I'll look at those and see. I remember there was at least one dock.
Yeah.
It's possible they upgraded
Yeah.
the 2019 dock. But I'll see if I can see 2 of them or just one. There were one, because I got pictures from the one.
This is not a high priority thing, but I felt like we probably should get. Great, and then Centennial Court will be before us. They were just looking for help to filing the NOI. And I think 49 West Main Street, this is an ADU. They are actually, in the end, even though, so the wetland line, the 100-foot buffer goes about through here. The deal is there's a road between the work and the wetland. And so I told him he didn't have to file because he's at about 95 feet and there's a road in the way. And he has his erosion controls up. So I felt like that was probably okay. But you guys want me to change my mind on this?
Okay.
I think it would have been a determination because it's in this area is previously altered. I don't know. They are putting a house in. Most of the work is well out of the 100-foot. It's just a little bit of the driveway and some grading with yeah. And these are just progress. If you guys haven't taken a look at it, a lot of pictures from 47 Main. He has run into a lot of water. This is kind of in the entry area that he's been dealing with, trying to get, just putting measures on site to contain it, to keep it from.
47 Main, that's
the 40B.
the Locust.
Yeah, Locust behind the funeral home. Yeah, so that's there was a fair, but it is, and it's not too surprising because of the wetland over here, and there's a wetland over here. This is higher than this one, and there's no wetland in between, but the water's gotta get there somehow. And the neighbors had been calling and complaining, so there were 2 trees that were removed that were outside the limit of work. This is one of them. But as you can see, this is the neighbor's fence. They were these huge white pines, and so I had given John permission to take them down because I was like, well. And John was worried about his own building, and I think they would be. Of course, the neighbors liked them. I don't know. There are some smaller hardwoods here, and he will be planting stuff. So, but the neighbor's not very happy. So, just for your information. Probably we should have done a more formal process. Maybe should have gone before the board. I don't know.
Well, maybe they can replant it with something that would be a better screen.
Yeah, these white pines, there wouldn't have been any screening at all. And these were, 3 huge, very big. Just another picture. It's a very different looking place right now. Like, and here's he had just not finished the clearing. Those are some of the ones that were left long ago. And that one area that had standing water, the soil is good. I checked it myself. So it was okay. 18 River Street, again, white pine removal, one here, one here. He's keeping the rest of them. He was just concerned about these leaning towards his house. Replication area at Sawmill Brook Lane. Oh, so I got out to the vernal pool at Sawmill Brook, and it's just full of wood frogs this year. So that was nice. And this is not even half. It was a ton. And I've never seen the fairy shrimp before.
That's very nice.
And there were a ton of them, literally everywhere. So that was fun.
I've never seen them either.
Yeah, good. They're just full. Thousands of them. It was really, really cool. So that was, even though that vernal pool had nothing the last 2 years, it's fun to see it was alive now. And here's the National Grid site. I did a site walk with them. They were just kind of telling me their procedures, and we looked at erosion controls. So they first come in and they mow everything down, and they're clearing about 100 feet around the poles and more if they need to access their vehicles. And then they do some grading. And then they put in a bunch of gravel. And then in the road, obviously it looks a little different than it did. And all these, I can't remember what they call those. Mats.
Oh, the mats, yeah.
Yeah. And here's the mats all spread out over the site. And so this is just the preliminary crew. It's a pretty informative meeting. Here's some of the SVT. People were concerned about the trail markers being pulled down, but I guess I can understand why National Grid people didn't recognize this as trail markers.
Yeah.
But now they know. I showed it to them. And I got an email today. It looks like they tried to reroute the trail that has been blocked. So that's good. They even put in this temporary bridge. It's quite a deal.
Get to work on the Robertson property.
I know.
They're close by.
Exactly. They put this bridge in 2 weeks.
They take those materials from
Yeah. And they didn't get a permit for it. They got it.
Yeah.
I think they're going over a wetland.
You
We're
got
just
one-
doing-
you got horses over there.
Yeah, they're bringing their dump trucks over it.
There's a stream crossing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that by Stephens or?
This is on the,
Other side of the road,
uphill from,
from the garden.
Yeah,
This is
right,
on
yeah,
this.
that's the little.
Yeah.
park there.
yep. So they're just getting started. It's gonna take about a year.
Yeah.
With everything.
Big project.
They're working off the other side also.
Yeah, they've started, I think I was out there a week ago, so they started on the other side.
Yeah, because my house isn't too far there, and you can just hear all
Oh,
the trucks are going up and down Warren Street all the time.
Yeah, this is gonna be,
I mean, it is what it is, I mean, they
Yeah.
gotta do it.
Shannon raised her hand.
oh, Shannon, Yes.
Hi, I have a question on, I don't know, you might not even know this. I was walking at Steffen's the other day and I think that they were still setting up, but parking at the community garden for Steffen's was very precarious with all of the construction vehicles, like going through the community garden area. So I'm not sure if like they're planning to continue to use that space or.
It would work there.
Yeah, they did ask permission to
Yeah.
use the parking lot, I believe. But,
Yeah, I don't think it's.
I think Shannon, he kind of told me is they'll be doing work in spurts, like they're doing this whole setup thing now, which is kind of super invasive and it looks horrible. But then once they start doing the poles themselves, they wait till the pole guys are ready to come through and then they put the poles in and then the guys who do the lines come through. So I think it's, the people are working ahead so that the other guys aren't like slowed down at all, but they could be a couple months ahead. So I think it's gonna be, sounds like it's just gonna be, a bunch of work and then we gotta deal with the construction site for a few months and then a bunch more work and it's gonna be like this for a while, unfortunately.
Great, thanks. It's one of my favorite walking spots. I'm like so bummed. It's okay.
Do you go up the power line?
Yeah, I like to go up to Steffens and do all the fields and stuff. Although no one go up there right now. The ticks are brutal. Don't go up there. I pulled off like no less than 40 ticks off of myself and another 30 off of the dog I was with. So don't go up there right now. But it's one of my favorite places to walk. So it's sad. But I'm excited for it to be over.
Yeah. That's it on administrative report. And I'm not done, there's more stuff, but I just didn't finish it today. Anyway, it'll come next month's report.
All right, administrative report, Lauren.
Hello, everyone. Let me just share my screen. I'll share the minutes. There were no vouchers this week. So there's not really a balance sheet either. I put the old one in the Google Drive just in case anyone had questions on that. But here are the minutes. I sent out the minutes with Mary's edits, and then Mike had sent some edits after that I don't think were emailed around, but they were the ones in the Google Drive and on the packet. Just minor wording changes. So if you read for the content, then it should be the same.
A motion to approve the minutes from April 8th.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing on Mike, aye. Thank you.
All right. Alan, aye.
Shannon and I.
Chris abstain. Okay, so that's majority vote. So we've got documents to sign that are going around.
Thank you, sir.
We can move on to open space committee update. As we get signed.
Yeah, I'm working on the deed for the land. The donation of the land. The owner was hoping to get some tax relief. And the only way to accomplish that is to pay the tax on behalf of the owner. The current tax bill is about $1,000. And the Conservation Commission contribute to paying some or all of that? Oh, this is the 2 acres. Over the land, yeah, it will become part of Warren Brook.
Okay.
How much is it?
The tax bill is just about $1,000. You can see why she had to give the land away.
Sure. Yeah. We have it in the funds. $1,000 for 2 acres. Is a deal.
Yeah, it's to the property. It's not like it's-
Yeah, no, I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's good.
Well, is there a motion?
Make a motion to pay the taxes on the 2 acre parcel of Buddy Warren Brook Conservation Area.
Second.
Any discussion? Mike, aye.
Aye.
Alan, aye.
Shannon and I.
Marcella, I.
You and I, Chris is an I.
There's some money coming out.
Yes, oh, we should, you never remember this stuff like that, but I would make amend the vote to say the conservation.
I just carried.
Yeah, we should.
And I'll work with Lauren to figure out how best to do that. Let's do on May 1st.
Yeah.
That's 4 days. Anything else, open space fine?
Nope.
Land Stewardship Committee, we rained out on our site, work day at, Robertson CR, but we're gonna try for this Sunday again. And there's a site visit with the DCR, next week on Wednesday to view the Robertson, trail situation. So I think that's at 2 o'clock on Wednesday, so anyone can make that.
Where's the DCR? Like, why would they be?
Because they co-hold the conservation restriction on Robertson's field.
I think they contributed a fairly significant sum to purchase the construction.
Okay, yeah.
They're also gonna do their yearly site CR inspection at the same. I think that's it for stewardship. The discussion items, we've already talked about the third-party monitoring. Approved crosswinds easement.
Yeah, so this is the easement that we've been negotiating with Eastland. If you guys will remember, there was a 30-foot access easement, which basically was a utility easement, and while it had been intended to be access to the trail system, didn't have the proper language. So it's been updated to have the proper language. It now says includes non-exclusive right of the public to use such access for the purpose of passive recreation. The town acting by and through its conservation commission may establish, maintain, repair, and replace trails, trail markers, other trail signage, trail entrance kiosks, and other similar amenities in such easements, and may establish rules, et cetera, et cetera. So we just need, I think, to vote to approve it, and they only have one signature on here. I don't know whether Mike, as vice chairman, you would sign it, or whether we should wait to get it to Chris.
How urgent is it?
It's not terribly urgent.
So I could actually take that and then I'll probably go visit Chris at some point.
That would be great.
Have her sign it.
Yeah.
Is that okay, Chris? The select board has someone from select board sign too.
Yeah, I've
So-
been trying to get on their agenda.
Chris first, okay. It's funny they just have one person.
I know, and I
That's-
wonder if we need to, if I need to.
Did town
have-
council do this or did?
The other lawyer did it, but maybe I should reach out to town council and find out if everybody needs to sign.
Has town council seen it?
Yes, he looked at it. But I don't know that he was looking at the signature page. I'll check.
Yeah, ask him, because I remember other,
Yeah, most everything I've seen is
Everybody's-
the majority of the, both
both
the board and the
this
commission.
is a. So, I'll still take this, but let me know when you can, unless you want to keep it. You want to keep it for now? or-
Well, it's a
I
straightforward
can
question, yeah.
easily print it out, so you may as well just keep it on you.
Well, you're gonna add signature lines. Unless you're gonna have one page with Chris's and the others on another page, which is fine. no worries.
Yeah.
Well, if you add them, you know, if you end up adding them, then you just email me them. And I
Right.
can print that page out.
Yeah.
Yes, Chris. Okay, pine needles or firehead, if they're dry. Right, well, so did we vote to approve it?
I think we need to vote on
We
it.
need to vote, so we entertain a motion to approve the grant of for, Mr. Cox.
I think it's a general to Crosswinds, all the utility easements.
Yep. I'm not sure what to call it, I guess, but
I'll move to approve it.
Second.
What is the title on the?
grant of easements for Crossman's properties. So they say that.
Get down there and find the 30-foot accesses and get some cheap.
Well, so we had a motion second. I do have a question. Do we know what the status of the other end of Dogwood is?
Right, I have a question to town council and he never got back. So I can, when I talk to him about
So
this.
doing this doesn't preclude us doing something.
No, I think that the other end, I mean, this affects, I think there's two 30-foot access easements, there's the one off of 2 Dogwood and then there's one between like 3.
Yeah.
This affects both of those easements.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, Mike, aye.
All right.
Alan, I.
Shannon and I.
Marcella, I.
Chris? Chris, aye. Okay. Thank you, that's amazing progress. I mean, this is, the nightmare's not over, because that other end is very important.
Yeah.
If we ever want to have a nice trail system. Okay, Forest Heights update, sure what my last update was, but the selectmen did have their executive session meeting, the town council, almost 2 weeks ago now. And I think it's okay that I can say it was made public, that the selectmen did authorize town council to make an offer to the restriction holder to basically, extinguish restriction. The other thing that has happened is that the town meeting warrant for May does include an article which includes an eminent domain taking of that restriction. There's been some communications going on between town council and the restriction holder parties, and also to some extent Lisa from Benecomet. Lisa, Bonnie, who lives in Florida, who is the one remaining living restriction holder trustee, has reached out to Lisa on a couple occasions. Town council has reached out to Rachel Bellman. And from what we understand, there are some confusing family dynamics going on. For that, it's not clear Rachel has anything to be negotiating for her and Bonnie. Stay tuned. It's kind of still a mess. Okay. And one thing that did happen is the town did make an offer. Council did make an offer to Rachel in dollar amount and it was rejected. Whether Rachel has any real authority here. Stay tuned. West River Trail Bridge. We did this CPC Community Preservation Committee did vote to pass over funding for the trail bridge. This town at this town meeting. And that was based on kind of an optimistic outlook that we're going to be able to find a new trail easement that will replace the bridge, at least for the time being. The bridge could not going to the easement for the bridge that would allow the bridges to go anywhere. Could happen in the future. And if things don't work out with the DCR, this could come back at the fall time. I just misspoke. I gave you the Robertson Trail Bridge update, but here it says West River Trail Bridge, and that is
Yeah.
That's something else that we should talk about. Mary, when Mary was doing her site walk for the solar farm, she encountered our trail bridge. Is this bridge near the abutments for the old bridge?
Yeah, I think it's on it. I mean, this is like old antique.
Off West River Street, by this, past the soccer fields.
No, I went this, I'm like reviewing the solar farm and I thought, oh, I'll just follow this trail a little bit. And I got a
Oh,
little
by
bit
the
lost.
solar farm.
And I found this. I wasn't, because this is off site from the solar farm, but
So it looks like there's also some kind of little boardwalk in the distance,
they're
but that,
both, it's the same material. And I think this is just the
that's in Northbridge? Or is that in Upton? The far further one?
they're both in Upton. And I believe this is the actual river, because you can actually get around this one. It's like if you want to ride your bike, you can go down and like, this is like a little back pool and the river's over here. I didn't go over them because I mean, I guess people walk on them all the time, but I was like, these don't look like they've been passed any engineering reviews. Although I'm sure people use them.
Do you have the imagery that
Yes, and I've got the imagery too.
after I saw that from Mary, I did some near map imagery.
Oh, I think we'll put it in the packet.
You have it, folders here called West River Bridge.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. I was looking for that.
Why is that in
I
there?
thought it was there. No, thank you, Bill. That's what I was looking for. There's too much. This meeting has too many documents.
Right, so
Circular.
This,
yeah, so that's where the bridge is. You can actually see the bridge in the imagery.
if I go to the next one,
And that okay, yeah.
there it is. Yeah, so I was standing over here.
So one side of the river is North Bridge, the other side is Upton. You can, if you see the disturbed area, in
So,
North Bridge.
Do you think this is the town line though here?
The town line is the
River.
Moon Hill and West River.
Okay.
No, that's not true. I'm sorry.
Is this the town line? Or you think it's the river?
I thought it might be the river, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, the Corps of Engineers owns both sides of the river at that point. But reason I want to show you this is there's a ton of off-road vehicle activity going on in that North Bridge parcel. That's definitely not that's North Bridge, not Upton.
This piece over here, yeah.
Yeah.
So Moon Hill Estates is farther north.
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think Melody Needham is up here. She's
Yeah,
up here,
that's
because she's in
definitely
Upton.
North Bridge. And the other side of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then if you look at the other imagery, which is just
Oh, yeah, you can see, because this is Melody, this is the town line right there.
That's pretty cool. So that would be that's the old road.
Yeah.
That came off of South Street and went over the West River, probably where the bridge is located.
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
The
cool.
buttons.
There's definitely somewhere in that area that'd be cellar holes, because there were homes located.
Oh, were there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see those.
May told this story before, but the Corps of Engineers first off does have an archaeological cultural resources inventory of that whole area. But what's not on their inventory is the bridge above it. They didn't.
Oh, okay.
They didn't, for some reason, they missed that. And then told the story for it, but talking one day with Barbara Burke about it. And she knew all about the bridge and remembered jumping off it when she was a kid to go to the swimming spot.
Oh,
So that would have been Barbara's probably, they're probably like maybe in the 30s.
wow.
So the bridge was still there in the 30s, and probably the court probably took it down when they acquired the property.
Do you have access to that cultural resources? Is that a public document?
I have a copy.
Because that would be really helpful.
Okay.
What? Tony and I have been trying to figure out who owned the unknown parcel next to the Emerson White.
Oh, okay.
And we believe it was probably somebody who lived along that old road. So if I can figure out where that is, that might help me figure out how to place properties. Thank you.
I will look for it. I believe I did that. Anyway, purpose of this imagery too was just to show you kind of the lay of the land, where Goss Pond is. If you, that's Goss Pond right there. And a few years ago, a couple of years, we were having off-road vehicle problems at Goss Pond. And the thought then was that they were coming from. So the question I have for you, and I don't know if that problem has persisted. We put up some signage. I'm not sure, if there's still a problem there. I don't recall hearing from butters. But I guess the question is, do we want to ask the Corps to remove that bridge? It also, it's maybe a bit of a thorny issue whether or not they needed a permit was needed to even install the thing.
So is the bridge on Corps land?
Yeah.
It's not on private, it's not on an individual.
It's on Corps property. Yeah, it's on property. And, whether or not work on Corps property requires a order of conditions or that kind of permit. Kind of depends what you're talking. I personally probably went before conservation commissions at least half a dozen times, work on Corps property. And file notices. I don't know. I mean, so we could let it go. We could kind of monitor the situation. And if off-road vehicle traffic becomes a problem, we could ask the Corps to remove it.
So when you were there, Mary, did you notice like dirt bikes or is just probably mountain bikers?
Yeah, I took some pictures. I mean, obviously people are using the sand pits.
Yeah, right, they
For stuff, and I'm not sure. And there's a little bit of trash there, not a lot. Definitely people are using these areas for sure. The trail's easy to follow, well used.
So there's two different properties there. The one above where your cursor just was, that's the South Street parcel.
This is so you see, I got pretty lost. I thought when I was here, I think I was thinking I was up there, and then I finally got over the river.
And I believe that the other one, the second one is owned by Consigli.
Right, yeah.
Remember correctly. And the water body to the right there, is that a result of beaver activity?
This is beautiful, actually. In fact, I thought when I first got out there, I thought it was West River, and then I realized it was flowing the wrong way. No, this is like a natural. It might have been the beaver dam, and you can almost cross here too. People have put little boardwalks. I took a few pictures of that. There were tons of turtles in there. It's beautiful. Nice trail along there. And this is Army Corps land in here as well. That part's really pretty. Maybe I'll put my pictures in the next report. And it wasn't really an intended excursion. I was trying to cut from like here to there, and I ended up. It's really a jungle in here.
And it's
And next
bird
to
habitat. It's bird habitat for wood drum.
Yeah.
And messing with potential nesting areas isn't good in terms of off-road vehicles. I don't know. I just want to bring this to everyone's attention. See what people think.
But we haven't, the trail didn't seem to be damaged by off-road vehicles or?
Yeah, the trail, it's in some places it's like a road,
Yeah.
It's roads,
Yeah, so
it's well used, and some of it's obviously on private property, some of it's on the Corps. I don't know if the Corps is trying to maintain trails along there or if people just use it.
They do maintain the boundary.
Right, their boundaries are pretty clear.
Yeah. There's usually a trail right next to the boundary.
Yeah, Marcel and I and Simon the dog, we walked down as far as we could go coming down from Goss Pond.
Okay,
It was, at one point, it just became a sea of poison ivy. I mean, just a sea of poison ivy. The trail disappeared. It was just
Oh.
the sea of. And you know, my dog at the time, Simon was, you know, like.
Did Simon later share the point?
I think we adjourned sometime.
Throw him in the water.
That's as far as we're going.
yeah. Well, getting from here, once you got on the trail here to here, very well marked, beautiful in here. This, yeah, it started getting messier.
Yeah.
And I think.
But you
that
had
was
to walk
what's
through the
really-
consigley property to get there, you think?
Well, I was on the trail and my intention was, all right, I know I'm kind of down to here. I just want to cut over to here because I didn't want to walk all the way down there. But it was so brushy, I got disoriented. I think I ended up here and found the trail. And anyway, I ended up down here by the water. And it was pretty, it was worth it. But I think the trail may go along it may go all the way along the edge. I think I didn't follow that. And then certainly through here.
And then it catches back to the court property.
Yeah, so I think you have to cut across, although who owns the road there? That might not be consigley
Well, that road would have been long.
dissolved. So anyway, it follows the road and then it gets messier as you did.
Because that ends up leading to where South becomes Oak, right? That road.
This road, yes, up here. Yeah,
Is there a potential to keep the trail totally on the solar field property? You know, in other words, like on the south side, yeah, across this.
that's a good, I mean, I think Rick was kind of from what he was saying, it sounded like he was thinking the trail was gonna go something like that. Yeah, I don't know if we can do this. I think you could, I didn't actually walk this piece, I intended to, didn't. It's high here, but you could, seems like you could go along here. That would be nice.
Yeah, we should kind of scout that out before, and maybe even, you know, the trail could have both options.
Yeah.
To go on. To go into the federal land and then also.
Because this in itself, this pond here is a worthy destination, even if you're just going down and turning around. That's really pretty. And then to be able to cut across the western. Yeah. Up around the Goss Pond.
Been kind of late, but for now, I think I suggest us just to keep this information, and if we find there's a big problem or a problem with off-road vehicles coming from Northbridge, we can always approach the board and say, what the hell? This bridge.
You don't think they installed it themselves?
No. But Rick said they knew about it, and I had no doubts because they do walk the property, they walk that boundary.
Yeah.
At least once a year, so they knew about it.
Yeah.
We know about it.
That was an early grade construction.
Yeah. Well, it's the really thick, I mean, it looks like it's very sturdy.
Yeah,
It's just a question of how.
I've seen it already before.
Put some work in there.
Yeah, so we're gonna hump that in.
Yeah.
Drag it, you know.
That's what your four wheelers work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's probably. And that's not for four wheelers, that's for. Sort of dirt bike.
Although four wheelers could go across it, right?
And it's been now.
Look pretty, it was only like 3 to 4
Yeah,
feet.
well, that's
4 feet would.
3 feet.
I don't think it's definitely not 4 feet.
No, I think it's
It's
3.
3 or
Right.
2.5.
Yeah, so a four wheeler.
It was more like for the dirt.
Yeah.
That's dirt bike. Well, anything else? Anyway, entertain a motion to.
So move. All in favor?
Thank you, everybody, for